Welcome back to the Esports World Cup Call of Duty Warzone. Your three casters here today, here in the booth. I hold shift, Enigma, myself, Coach. We've been having a blast. We've been partying. We've been staying hydrated, folks. It is warm, but the sun is now down. It's nice out there. Puckett had a chance to show us around the boulevard only moments ago. Now, folks, I know you've been patient, but don't worry. The game is about to get started. You can see the players locking back in. Now, we may have iced the kicker, as it were, but at this point, it all comes down to your mentality going into today, because at the end of the day, this stage now is all that matters. This day right now is all that matters. Enigma, I want to go to you with this because you talked about Guild. You and Shift both agreed that today Guild was going to be on top. Your overall pick for the tournament, though, was Vitality. Talk to me about those two teams and what you expect from both of them.
Okay, so first of all, when it comes to Guild, I think we've picked up this side a lot. King AJ, Vision, and their trio in Wars. Sorry for getting their teammate there, but that squad comes together. I think that's a really well-balanced trio. King AJ, straight shooter, we saw yesterday, put on some highlight reel moments. You bring in Wars, who always shows up at the big events, and then I just think that Vision rounds them off neatly. I think they're going to be a well-communicated team, but I do have some questions about their ability to go the distance, and that's why I lock in Vitality as my pick. Patsuka picks up the most kills on the solos, and I actually thought that the solos was where they were going to struggle the most. Enxian did. Yeah. For me, I think when they come together as a trio, he's going to really step up his game, start to explode, turn them into that top side.
The history of that Vitality team is a long one. Frankly, maybe the longest ever, which is such a cool storyline. They've been playing together. We asked them questions before this, and they said, no matter the wins, no matter the losses, we stick together. So going the distance, I think a very strong play from you, Enigma. Shift, don't need to change your prediction. Guild, do you think they have what it takes, even with the icing of the kicker?
I'm sticking with my boys.
All right.
Looking good, feeling good. I'm here for Guild.
And not just because Guild tweeted you and said they're going to give you merch. All right.
That's exactly why I'm sticking with them.
All right, players loading in. Here we go. Fanatics on my brain wavelength right now. I am watching out for this trio. Brand new trio for this year. They had some struggles, the ups and downs. You all know the deal, but it's all about who can perform on LAN, who can perform in the group stages. Shift, we are moments away. Any final words before we send you off?
This is going to be a banger first two drops. Group A, Group B, two heaviest hitting. We're going to figure out who's going to find their way on top very quickly, I think.
All right, Shift, we're going to let you go, my friend. Game number 1 is here, folks at home. Buckle in. I know you've been patient with us. Get a sip of water. It's about to get real hot, real spicy, real quick. Map number 1 is here of the group stages. Esports World Cup, Call of Duty Warzone. It's time to drop into Rebirth Island, my friends.
And you can hear the crowd. But as we here on the desk wait with bated breath for these guys to load in here, it's all about where are players landing, who are they contesting, the POIs, the fights, the rotations, the wraps, the gunfights to come.
So many stories, man. So many stories of Warzone competition. So many stories of this map, content, voice changers, funny things, serious things, everything in between. But today is all about competition. You've never seen Rebirth Island like this. We're here. It's time for some Call of Duty Warzone, folks. Crowd is going wild for the Falcons. Let's see if the Falcons stand up to the test of the first game of group stages. Patsuka, first team on your screen, looking to make some waves as Donkey contesting and getting punished for it.
Yeah, well, it looks like Vitality and Syndicate are both deciding to play around bioweapons here. And obviously, this being my pick on the screen, Stuo going down is concerning. He will obviously redeploy in quickly, and they've also going to be contested here by Al-Ula. So this is going to be a busy spot. We talked about how this region is very good for landing because you're protected essentially from one side by the edge of the map. But it looks like there's going to be some hotly contested fights as Tommy cleans up another kill.
You can see kind of how Tommy's team has spread out around this edge of the map. They're playing trades, they're playing angles, but not all stacked together. It's going to be a key to your success today. Trios, first time we've seen it. Linen goes down. It's all okay. It's Resurgence. Unless Dookie falls, and unless potentially Tommy falls. Where is he? Is he out of the map? Is he gone? Squad 2 is out with 2 kills. Al-Ula eliminated from the competition in the very first map. That's what happens when you stay too close together. They were trying to play trades, but when one fell, they all fell.
It's just the worst case scenario, right? This early on in the game, the time is quite slow, so we're not expecting that anchor to peel off. We're not expecting him to be too far away from the gun face, but if all three of you drop at the exact same time, that window is small, but it does indeed exist, and you will see Alula out early here. A surprise. Talked a lot about whether or not those three can fix the issues that Jukies and Lennon have seen so far through this year, and it looks like we are off to a slow start here in map 1.
A quick shout reminder, no more solos, it's trios, which means we have resurgence timers, but if all three go down and you're all dead at the same time, you are eliminated from the map. No gulag. Skullface falling at the hands of Raul. Allman able to answer back and knock one. That's Destroy going down. First map, by the way, of resurgence for Destroy here on main stage in this entire competition. See if he's got what it takes to compete against the best. I can only assume he does.
Very good play there by Allman. You saw Skullface go down, had about a 12-second resurgence timer. Noob then loses his shields as well. So you end up in a situation where Allman's essentially thinking, okay, we've got one guy out, one guy in trouble. Let's just peel away. Perfect anchor play. Lets his team reset and build back into this. And a team that definitely needs to reset and build back into this is Huskers, Brolic, and Jackal, especially Huskers, who's been struggling throughout this.
Shifty falling, by the way, in that kill feed. Great swap here to see Hisoka playing anchor. Now, this is what I'm talking about an anchor. Look how far away Hisoka is right now. He is letting the boys out on the longest leash known to man. Outside of the circle, all by himself in Stronghold, just hanging out and giving comms to Biffle. Look at where Biffle is, off into the distance, fighting several teams. That's Castillo, that's Deo Samir, that's AG Global right there down below him as he plays the top angle of this building, looking over, getting the comms from Hisoka from afar. This is what we talk about, holding the team down. If Biffle and Shifty fall, like you just saw a minute ago, all is well because the resurgence timer is still on and Hisoka is alive.
Yeah, and taking a quick look here at the rest of the map that has a couple of players peeled off, a couple of players also trying to execute the same strategy, but it's tough if you're Biffle because obviously you're by yourself. You're essentially running into maybe duos, potentially trios with some of these squads in particular. You're seeing AG Global right up close to them as well as Twisted Minds.
Yeah, Aiden in trouble, eliminated. The team backing off. You see Team 3 in the minimap backing off away from this AG Global squad. That's Twisted Minds, top of solos, looking to find some success today after a small break. They're back on the map, ready to fry. One player down, that timer ticking. There are so many ways to reduce that timer, Enigma. Just running long distances can reduce it. Opening chests can reduce it. Getting eliminations reduces it vastly. Any way you can get your teammate back on the map quickly is a huge boon.
Indeed, by the way, we've got more competition coming in. The Falcons trio are deciding to push up on this. So we're going to have the Falcons, Twisted Minds, and AG Global all fighting over Factory.
Dongi's team, a team to watch out for. The Singapore squad, this is a really strong team. The big question in our minds is, could they put it all together with this X factor that is Dongi? Believe they've played with Mutex a long time, and adding Dongi into the mix, it looks like they're using him as the Slayer. 5 kills already as the Resurgence timer is still active, ready to go for a good circle or so.
Just lying in wait and find both players springing up above him. Does manage to get a crack, but it's not going to be enough. Dongi pushes himself to 6. I mentioned it a moment ago. He was the player that comes into this trio. And look at the kind of damage he's already delivering on. Up to 7. The best we've seen on our screen so far.
Look how far away Intex is. All the way across on the other side of the map. They're completely split from west to east on Rebirth Island. And Dongi is cleaning house. He looked locked in the interview with Chris Puckett at his monitor. Hardly looking away, wanting to play, but a great personality, and the slaying power equals his personality as he finds his 9th in the first map of group stages. I don't think Dongi can be iced, even if we tried.
And then the thing is as well, 9 with 34 still remaining is absolutely outrageous stuff. It is a pace that we're not seeing elsewhere. This is another player that's a potential X factor when it comes to these squads, right? How is Knight going to perform? We're expecting them to largely try and help this side understand Resurgence better. Not necessarily slay out the same way we're expecting with Dongi, but Knight struggled yesterday, but a man who did not was Smith, and he finds yet another.
Yeah, this BSL team is this huge underdog squad representing themselves. They've got their team as the 3 different iterations, almost an acronym that they've put together for their team squad. Getting wiped by Smith, still have a lot to prove here on main stage. We talked about ultimate high ground. This is super important, especially as the resurgence timer begins to tick down. We've got Raul, we've got Nate Dogg, Destroy. Nate Dogg playing high ground. He's the anchor as Destroy and Raul are pushing up on what looks like that Wars team. That's the guild squad we've got all of our eyes on, waiting, watching below. Nate Dogg giving comms and seemingly safe, at least for now.
Lukanas decides to push here. Will find Believe. Will get the down. Oh, misses the shot, actually. Does not want to make a mess of that. Will eventually clean it up. But the thing is that extra time that's spent means that his opposing teammate can push on up. Intex and Believe just above him here. Lukanas going to have to be very careful. Is onto 4 kills, but doesn't necessarily have the backup from Drake, who's off in towards the center of the map. Mortar comes on down. Dongi up above, and this is the man who's slaying thus far.
Yeah, we saw the Gladiators around the corner as well. You can see that Team 4. That's going to be your Gladiator squad. Huskers on the water tower. You can see Noobs actually taking out Brolic in the kill feed, so that Husker squad relying on Huskers to stay alive as Jackal answers back and takes down Noobs off screen. You can see how split that Team 4 is in that X-ray cam looking through our buildings. Huskers way up in the water tower. Very similar strat to that Destroy team, by the way, as we see the zone tick closer and closer to the center of the map. Now, quick look here. We're in circle 3. A minute 8 remaining is when it begins to close. Once that circle fully closes, Enigma, we know what happens. This entire map goes silent for a moment as that resurgence timer will end.
Well, that's exactly it, right? This is all the teams right now are simply playing to try and rack up some kills, and Destroy's not having a bad one for his first map, right? Up to 7. We'll play the prison rooftop with coverage from Nate Dogg, and then he's actually going to get support from his teammate as well, and finds Bagel on the water tower and just continues to roll. We were wondering how he would perform after missing yesterday. He's not having any problems, Goach.
This is what we're talking about. Ultimate high ground, not necessarily for kills, but information gathering. Let your Slayers out on a long leash. Let them go rain in as many kills as they can get until this timer is done, and you are the information man. You are the one feeding your team all the resources they need to find success. We talked about this during solos, even more important during the group stages. Watch that bottom right-hand corner of your screen when we're in player POVs, because you will see whether or not these players have loadout. That will dictate how aggressive they're playing. You need loadout weapons. Look at this. Destroy. Bottom right corner. You see all those attachments. He's got loadout. He's got his resources. He's ready to rock and roll. He's got the meta, and that Superi seemingly in everyone's hands.
Yeah, and we talk as well about meta. Superi, sure, but that SVA on tap fire, it's been putting in work throughout this year. We're going to move on over to Castillo. Has absolutely nothing. Can AG Global step up from the performances of yesterday? Well, so far, Castillo has not had much luck. Does indeed actually get to see Shifty and Knight start to pick up kills in the feed, and that's all going to be Gladiators struggling in those ones.
Yeah, Shifty and Knight finding some success, but unfortunately getting third party. This is what happens. Again, signal flares in the skies every time you shoot your guns. And who's there? Bagel. Not on 0, as Puckett maybe predicted on 1, as we see a couple more teams falling in the kill feed. Actually, our second, now third. Aiden, C-Smith, off screen, fully eliminated. Twisted Minds, top of the leaderboard, out of here. See you later. See you in map 2 here shortly. How many kills did they get? Only time will tell. Castillo out of here, Dark out of here. All of a sudden, times are changing. Resurgence timer not even closed yet, just right around the corner from that Enigma. This is chaos as the teams continue to converge on each other, and now our respawn closed.
Just getting a quick look here over some of the figures that we've got going on. The Singapore Syndicate leading the way with 20 kills. That's obviously all the work that's going on by Dongi. 14 kills for Team Destroy, and Icons closing in on 11 as we come towards the end of our Resurgence timer.
I'm looking at Team 7, team of the yellow 7. That's Eisen's team in a really good position on the thin side of Prison. They're holding down this POI. 2 teams going to rotate into them weak. Reminder, respawn closed means, yes, you can buy your teammates back, but if you fall, you get eliminated. You're not coming back, as all of a sudden, Lukanas' squad on the run.
Everything you've played for up to this point, all the kills you've accumulated, give you whether or not you have the advantage of playing for position, whether or not you have to continue to take rotational fights. And right now, Lukanas and co in a tough spot. Takes balls in the back, but spins onto Stuo. That was a disgusting little snap, but Patsuk will actually trade it out by picking up Trevs. Lukanas trying to escape and being hunted by the Australians of Na'Vi.
Here comes Na'Vi, folks, hunting the edge, power position, full team of 3. Lukanas on 7, putting in work for this squad, but now on the run and being hunted like a wounded animal. See you later, Lukanas out of here, top 10. Now multipliers starting to come into play, folks. Multipliers are different this time around. You're looking top 5 is 1.4. Fourth, 1.4. Third, 1.4. It is second that is the 1.7 times multiplier. These are crucial numbers to remember, a little bit different than yesterday in solos. And of course, our 2 times multiplier for our winning squad. Look who's still alive, folks. The crowd excited about this one. Falcons, they are still flying, and they fly together now that the Resurgence timer has officially closed, hunting edge of map, working towards Prison.
Yeah, currently holding 10 kills between them, and they're pushing up on the Gladiators, but Brolic spots them. Jackal gets over aggressive, and Shifty will find him. Takes a lot of damage, has to back on off, but does have coverage. Soka wants to push up on this, but you are in the gas. You just want to play around the edge of it, but Destroy has picked up Shifty from the window, and all of a sudden splits this trio apart.
Quick buyback. That is something the Falcons are known for. They always play around buy stations. They always rotate for the buys. They know there's a buy there on the outside of prison. They get the buyback immediately. Shifty's able to get information. As long as he doesn't get sniped out of the air, that Falcons team's still going to be feeling good, but it's still Na'Vi hunting edge of zone. It's still Na'Vi with a ton of kills. Inside the top 10 still, but we're looking for top 8 to just give you any multiplier. 8th place gives you that 1.2x, all right? So a lot of multipliers still to be played for, a lot more Resurgence, a lot more Rebirth Island still to be seen.
Na'Vi just going to push up, try and play this under passage, potentially find themselves a safer route around the back of prison. The thing is, any movement that you try and make from here, you are essentially in open ground. You've got to hope the circle pulls to give you even half a chance. Finds Patsuka, Levi here, looking to wrap this, but the gas is going to force him to back on off, and may have to reset their strategy as well. Gas mask ticking down, but they do get the zone pull. So teams on top of prison are going to have to dive here. The Australians in prime position, and here come the boys. And oh my, Levi loses that fight.
Oh my goodness, there are fights happening everywhere. One team holding zone, one team predicted it would go prison and were wrong and were punished for it. Out of here, 5 teams left. You see a full Fnatic squad alive and on the run on edge of zone. Will they be held by Raul, Destroy, Liam, Bagel, all fighting for position? Navi's out of here, they're gone. Limax fighting Destroy, does take him out, and that is a squad wipe. Where are they?
Well, Skullface is tucked into very small, confined space here with Noobs and Almond. Any smoke comes in there, you're in trouble. Any gunfire going out the other way, those beneficials. Noobs finds Mati. Skullface cleans up Rodrigo. They are completely out of here. Skullface just looking to assess the situation. You're up against 2 other players, but that's actually going to be Skullface, Almond, and Noobs out of here as we're down to our final 2.
BSL. Everyone discounted them. No one had them on top lists. No one had them in predictions. Everybody just thought, these guys are funny. They're pretty good at the game. We need to see them perform. And Stuo doesn't even fight at the end. Gives away his life, not wanting to give away free points. That is a BSL victory for the very first map of group stages. In the Esports World Cup, Enigma, nothing is given, everything is earned, and BSL certainly earned a ton of points in the first map.
Look, quite frankly, the storyline, you touched on it there towards the end, is whether or not we should be putting a little bit more respect on this BSL side. They came 8th for the World Series last year with Benzi. No one even expected them to qualify, let alone be Europe's 2nd best performing team on the day. So then to see them come into the Esports World Cup, I think a lot of people kind of turned around and went, well, they're here, you know, whatever, we don't really care about them. Not been a part of the conversation. Did not perform well yesterday in the solos, but for all the discussion around them being funny and how they describe their roles in ridiculous ways, it works when they come together as a trio.
And they come together as a trio because of the trust they have. They make fun of each other. They have a good time doing it. Every conversation we've had with them was this. We asked them their drop spots. We asked them their strats, and they said, we just listen to whatever Bagel tells us to do. What's our favorite drop spot? Where Bagel says so to go. I mean, that's what it is. It's trust, it's communication, chemistry, and it all paid off at the end of the day. I've got a lot of question marks around scores, though. Reminder, multipliers are crazy top-heavy in this competition. 2x multiplier, of course, going to BSL. Where did Na'Vi end up falling? They got a post-mortem kill on Destroy. They had knocked Destroy and nobody could res him. So there was a moment there I thought Na'Vi was still alive when they got the zone pull. The problem is they sat there with the zone pull and it was like an onslaught of 5 teams pushing them, rotating to them, and they just got swarmed and couldn't survive.
As soon as that zone pull comes their way, I'm with you. I think, okay, this is Na'Vi's to lose. You potentially have the company of Vitality off towards that northern side, but I thought that they were in the prime spot for sure. But the smokes come out and just essentially creates a blanket in front of them, and all of a sudden, it's like the Battle of Jon Snow there, where everyone's just flying forward, and you don't know what they've got to hit first. Lose the gunfight there if you're Levi, and unfortunately then, the amount of bodies that are landing in the region just can't really contest it if you are Na'Vi. But I'm with you on some of these squads, because yes, we're going to talk about Boogs, Liam, and StuKX and how they end up winning that and getting that 2x multiplier, but some of these squads were picking up serious kills out there on the map. So just where did they end up landing on our leaderboard? We will wait to find out.
Yeah, and this is what's so fun about this multiplier. Usually we reward kind of that top 5, right? If you get to top 5, you're going to get that 1.7x. In this competition, 2nd place and only 2nd place gets the 1.7x. So this is a crucial thing to remember because it's a 1.4x for 3rd through 5th, which means a team like Team Destroy, who frankly had an incredible game. I mean, let's talk about him really quick. Destroy, first map of Resurgence on main stage, did not play yesterday and nearly dropped double digits in the very first map by himself. So if that team had any sort of spread of kills, that is a very, very strong game in the very first map of the first day of group stages.
Well, we were saying it, weren't we? You know, his brother comes in yesterday to cover, picks up the map win. It's a great story. We're all very happy for him. But what will that do to Destroy? First of all, does he have, how does he feel about coming back into things? You've got to walk into that big stage where everyone else has had time to set themselves up and get a feel for the game. And also, how do you feel about playing a bit of Resurgence here in this level of competition? Well, it turns out he does not mind it at all. We tuned into him a couple of times throughout that. But I thought the setup that they had was gorgeous.
Yeah.
You had Destroy sat on top of that prison. Nate Dogg was trying to watch on over for some rooftops. And then just essentially a third just roaming around the map, giving themselves, I mean, it's Raul, so of course he's off on that leash, but as a 3, looked very well together, and that's impressive considering that is your very first map together in this competition.
Yeah, what did he call him? Destroy called him his little Goonies, I think, or something like that. They are very, very strong, and Raul Destroy flying around the map, and you're right, it was Nate Dogg way up on high, taking ultimate high, giving comms. Communication is everything. If we tune into their stream at any time and any stage of any competition, the comms are flying. They are so good at the small talk, and it's such an important thing for that team. But the team on top, BSL, Boogs, Liam, Stukex, 2 guys from Bradford and a guy from Germany on top of the very first map. We'll see if they're on top in our score tallies at the end of it, but regardless, they're likely going to be top 5. I am so excited to hear what our desk has to say about our very first map in group stages.
Wow, what a great game, number 1, and a disappointing one for some, but for others, just an incredible showcase of the true potential the trios can bring. There was nonstop action and a lot of incredible things that actually were very surprising to be different playing styles that we're going to break down. But first, let's talk about our winners, BSL. An incredible performance from them. We go to you, Infinity. They did a lot right.
Yeah, they absolutely did. You know what's funny is, again, we were having a conversation about BSL, and I think a lot of people are underestimating them. Despite having one of the easier groups of the 3 per se, BSL have always been one of those teams, though, that can clutch up when need be. And that's exactly what they did. They really started to threaten a number of teams. I think one of the biggest moments in that game for BSL, even before their incredible end of the game, was actually one, I think, towards Chemical's side, right, where they were kind of forcing Falcons out of position. They were chasing them down. That was just before Hisoka made that big play of bringing the teammate back in. The fact that BSL were being as aggressive as they were sending a lot of teams running away.
A lot of teams running away. Well, I think they started respecting the firepower, right? So it's not easy in Resurgence when you're getting into a fight, you lose one, okay, we're coming back. Well, we just lost another one. Now we just lost another one. Puts a lot of pressure on your anchor player, which we'll be getting into in just a bit.
Yep.
But, to talk about Fnatic, though, Fnatic, another great team who didn't do the best, per se, when it came down to solos yesterday, but picking up a 3rd or 4th place, you got to be happy with that result.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm thinking of Skullface, Almond Noobs. Almond and Noobs, they've always been that collective duo that have been are really good together.
Sure.
And with Skullface, one of my favorite players. Really surprised about yesterday, but going into today to see all 3 of them alive in the final zone. We'll take a look at their eliminations, because even though some of these teams are in that final zone, you have to think about the eliminations that they do have, right?
Sure.
I'm thinking of Alula. It was talked about at the top of show. They had 2 wins yesterday, win that solo seeding, but only the 7th seed. So you think about these squads, you think about even Dongi, he was popping off with the eliminations.
Yes,
even new icons surprising us, right? In Group B, as we said, hey, maybe they might get dumpstered on. But hey, the team that surprised us who did get dumpstered on in the beginning was in fact Alula. So this is just unpredictable. In terms of Resurgence, it is chaotic.
Yep.
But to see Fnatic in the final zone like that is what we expect to see from those guys as a trio. We know they can play and survive and shoot their gun. Everyone's a shooter in this lobby, but for yesterday's performance, I think they're coming into today. They definitely got some fire on their belt.
But back on Alula, a team that we highlighted so much throughout our fill time, and even at the start of show, right, Jukies and Tommy getting some wins yesterday, but not finding success, at least when it comes to group play, game number 1. and eliminated first off. I know that has to hurt. It's not an easy pill to swallow without question. And it comes now to the question of different play styles, right? Obviously, all three of them sticking together, but that also runs the risk of you getting eliminated very quickly. First team I bring up personally about who's playing in anchor roles is Soka over on Stronghold. He's sticking and holding his ground over on Stronghold. He's staying alive. He's on top of the tower, relatively low risk. Meanwhile, Shifty, Biffle are going out and they're slaying, specifically, at least at the start of game number 1, over on green, just outside of tents. But ZDongy, though, a player that didn't need an anchor per se, he was going out and slaying out.
Yeah, and I mean, Brody, we kind of were talking about this. We all were talking about this, you know, when we were sitting on the side. So many eliminations, but Dongy, how aggressive he was playing, completely wiping out everybody while his teammates essentially, he did have, I believe, it was either Intex or at least somebody there with him to support him. But as you'd mentioned, Taylor, having that anchor role is important. And for Dongy, he picked up a lot of eliminations. We know for SGP, that's going to put them up there extremely high, Brody.
Yeah, and there's just a really smart play there towards the end. You just see it like very briefly in the clips, right? Where Dongy, I think he sees a couple of teams separate out near the dock side. He recognizes, hey, I've got a player isolated. I'm going to go for this kill to try and get some map control. It is those kind of plays that I think separates out Dongy as one of the better players we have here. I mean, he's so fun to watch.
He's great. He's incredible. And yesterday, he was also good, too. I mean, come on. ZDongy is doing it all. The Dongwick himself, as Seymour coined him yesterday. But again, going back to the Falcons with Hisoka being that anchor and stronghold, his teammates going out and slaying out, they eventually go over towards Factory. Things are looking pretty good at that point in time, but then we start losing some players, and Twisted Minds was one of them, and then shortly after, I believe Team Guild was also eliminated.
Yeah, absolutely they were. I mean, that final circle was absolutely insane. You know, Guild just not able to get it done towards the end. I mean, that was just honestly an insane fight. I think Fnatic were in there in the end
it was
well.
Navi, right? Navi we were watching for the longest time, right?
Yeah.
But then the zone pulled their way, which obviously, I mean, I think it was Fnatic, right? They were in that shack right there. Oh my gosh, for some of those teams that had to rotate outside of prison, it's like, okay, how do we cross this? You have to have smokes.
Well, you know what's funny? You mentioned Navi as the team that was kind of, they had the zone to their name. We were, you know, Enigma mentioned it in the moment, right? I mean, the zone is pulling a Navi. Surely they'll be able to pull this off. And then all of a sudden, who but Team Destroy to come down and take them out of the play? I mean, yeah, Raul, right? You love Raul. I mean, like, it's just such a funny route you see them taking. You talk about anchoring as one of those key positions. Nate Dogg in that game, he was doing that early on. He was set up at Watchtower for a very long time, while the rest of his team was sat over by Chemical Engineering. Those guys convalesced towards the prison, towards the top of prison. They were actually sharing that, I believe, with new icons for a really long time, which was kind of funny. I think it was Rodrigo, actually. But regardless, you know, the fact that they were able to get there, and then they fly down to the final zone to kind of surprise Navi in the worst way. Not really a nice surprise. We'll call it a shock.
It was a shock indeed. By the way, shout out to Bagel from BSL. The reason why they took game number 1 is because of Bagel and his good efforts. Team Destroy, though, leads the way at 28. We talk about Team Destroy yesterday. Destroy not playing with the roster. Jay, his brother, takes over his spot. Destroy is back, and now they're on top.
Listen, I'm telling you, if this, you guys, I just to say that I'm some type of like miracle worker, because that's insane. We called this out. Destroy coming back and slaying out for his squad. And did you guys see how many eliminations he was picking up? Top prison, I mean, left and right. Like you said, catching people off guard. But the heat that came into today, he had said it. My brother, you know, he got that win yesterday. Coming into today, I'm back. The you know, the leader, the IGL, the ones that these young guns look up to. And to be able to just come out on top now after map 1, not taking a win, but like we said, guys, those eliminations matter, and they're
yes, they do. Well, the thing about Destroy, and he's always been known for this, is he's high octane, loves to get in your face. Now, does he fizzle out sometimes a little bit early on? Yes, because he's not necessarily playing for placements. That's kind of a secondary thought, at least when I think of Destroy and his play style. But he's intense when it comes to the initial drops. He's intense when it comes to mid-game, and he can slay out like some of the best of them, right? He is one of the best, and it is literally because of those eliminations why they take over first, not necessarily their placing, so good on them.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say as well, to be fair, you know, going back to that point about anchoring again, it is worth saying there is an element of map positioning. I think it's a reason why they're able to stay so late in the game. Again, the fact that they're able to make that route from, I want to say they started like Chem side and then kind of made their way all the way through towards Prison. And then, of course, that dropped towards the end around Docks. I mean, that is such an incredible route from that squad to be able to make that one work. I mean, it is a massive reason why they're able to go as far as they do.
Yeah, and you know, Z Smith said it best. When it comes to roles, they may change late game. Teams have to play for that placement.
Yeah.
Because in the multiplier, right, play styles are going to change. But as we had mentioned in the beginning, maybe pick up a lot of eliminations as quick as possible, have your anchor player. But then late game, who becomes that IGL, right?
Sure.
Zeesman's like, no, it doesn't matter. We're not. Don't listen to anybody but me. I know what to do. Listen to the shots I'm going to be calling them. So for some of these teams, that dynamic will change. And I mean, it's just so cool to see like some of these teams just pop off like that. But for Team Destroy, that is 28 points on the after game number 1. You set the bar pretty high. Can they keep it going?
Can they keep it going? That is the question. Can Falcons also do better than top 8? They were slaying out. They were one of our top performing teams, at least in the early initial games up to the mid game. There was a great shout from Goj. She said they like to play around buy stations, and that's important, right? And it seems like they were almost timing their rotations to kind of time with those buy stations. For example, Hisoka over at Stronghold. They were playing around tents on top green, eventually moving over towards Factory. Another buy station over there. You notice their rotation, right? Going up towards headquarters. Another buy station there. We see a buyback, I believe, on Shifty. Hisoka hits that up, and then eventually they get taken down not long after that. But they're playing close to buy stations so they can get those revives. Now, the question is, though, are they going for the rebuys even when Resurgence is active? Because if they are burning through money. So I don't know if they're necessarily doing that, but I would see why you would maybe want to do that.
I think it's one of those things, right? I mean, cash is kind of, it's difficult to utilize, I think, in Resurgence. It's like, do you actually want to be using your money on buys? And what else are you really going to be using it for? I mean, it's such short notice decision making.
That's right,
I wouldn't be surprised.
I was going to say really quick, the 3 C's, right? That players always say cash, chemistry, and communication.
That's
so
right.
Cash is king, baby.
Add a fourth one, King. That starts with a K. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, game number 2 is going to be coming your way. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to the caster booth here with the Esports World Cup Call of Duty Warzone. Map number 2 right around the corner, Coach Enigma. And I gotta say, can we shout out Team Destroy for being top of the leaderboard? Destroy comes in from being radically sick. I'm talking hospitalized yesterday. You all know the story. You all love the story. Jay, his brother, comes in and wins a map. Now, Team Destroy didn't win the first map, but they're on top of the leaderboard after the first map. So watch out for Team Destroy. He's here to slay. Other storylines, Enigma, BSL out of nowhere comes and dominates that first map.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, going back to the point of whether or not we should start to consider these boys as someone we should talk about with some respect. They come out here, pick up first. However, we speak a lot about it in the Warzone space. Placement is something, but kills being everything. They only pick up 8, so they will go 16 points and therefore be sat, I believe it's 5th on our leaderboard coming into this second map. That will feel all right now because you are in that Group A-B matchup that we know is a clash of titans, so you're going to feel pretty solid about that, but they're definitely not clear of any sort of conversation in regards to pushing away from the rest of the teams.
Here's a quick look at that leaderboard. That's what we're talking about. Team Destroy on top. Right beneath them, Syndicate out of nowhere, 24 points. Watch out for our top teams. Hey, we're hopping into map number 2, Enigma. It's time to get rowdy. I am so excited about this, my friend. Map 1 was a banger, and I gotta say, these teams came out real hot, real fast, real aggressive. We talk litmus tests, we talk heat checks. Solos apparently woke everyone up because at the end of the day, map number 1 was spicy, regardless of how long it took for us to get into it.
Well, one of the questions about yesterday, wasn't it? You know, we started off pretty quickly, but it slowed down dramatically as we moved on through. Players finding themselves corners, trying to just pick up little kills here and there in solos. However, today we've started off hot in map 1, and I highly doubt we're going to see things slow down in map 2, and it definitely doesn't for Knight as Bagel picks him up.
Here we go, already hot, and well, I gotta say, okay, quick note, Team Tommy with Al-Ula, first team to be eliminated last time around. It looks like a lot of the same. This time they set up a trap. Quick answer back, though, as Padzuka drops Juki's, Lennon drops Stuwo. It's a battle for Bio, and it's all hands on deck for both teams. This is where things get so dangerous, and this is where things went awry for this squad. This fight basically happened the exact same way last time, except that Padzuka squad, once they got the knock, full swung and got a full team wipe.
Indeed, and we'll come back to that later because right now it's Twisted Minds up against BSL. And Smith's done the Lord's work here, but he takes quite a bit of damage. Gonna have to back on off, and 2 players will take down the stairs. You will have a player spawning on in, and that means that whoever was left alive there, Bagel, has to run away, essentially playing that anchor role to perfection, trying to let his boys back in.
Now, I'm gonna be honest, Bagel almost got fully eliminated in the first, 30 seconds of this map after winning the last one. That's how crazy Resurgence can be. That's how important that anchor position is. You cannot all 3 die early. That is almost the only rule of this entire game. If you all 3 go down early, you're out of here. Believe finding several in the kill feed, by the way, as it looks like somebody's answered back. Intex last alive for that team, running on his merry way. Both of his teammates about to redeploy. You can actually see their timers on the screen, by the way. You can see the 6 and the 5 and counting as those timers slowly tick down and they slowly respawn back into the map.
Yeah, well, the one thing is with Intex there, he found himself a lovely cubby over around Ken. We move in towards Lucanas and co, and actually big fight going on elsewhere as Biffle takes on Levi, and again we've got this situation where Soka's playing anchor off towards Stronghold, and we back in with our Al-Ula squad who continue to fight over bioweapons. They have company, but right now with Tommy out of things, it's up to Juki's and Lennon to just play patient, let their boy back in.
Yeah, big storyline there, Al-Ula. Now, I gotta say, Tommy fell first in the World Series of Warzone Global Finals. They ended up getting 3rd in the competition, okay? So we got plenty more Warzone to be played for the team near the bottom, if not at the bottom of the leaderboard. We head over to our Falcons. They've wiped several squads in their path, and you're right. They're essentially playing 2v whatever's in their path because they're 3rd, Hisoka, way back in Stronghold, holding it down. Now, they always talk about something called tricks with this Falcon squad. They've always got the tricks up their sleeve. And apparently, Hisoka just sitting in Stronghold is their trick because it pays off. Dart gets eliminated without even losing a single iota of health.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that's scary about this side. This entire strategy that you've got, if you're Biffle and Shifty, you just start hunting things down. You feel confident to take on even 2v3 scenarios in a lobby of some of the best players in the world. It just allows Soka to play that anchor role so perfectly, and they continue to move on through the map. Wars here playing bottom showers with the rest of his guild squad. A guild squad that didn't get off to the best start. Map 1 finished 13th, picking up just the 7 kills, so we're looking to do a bit more here.
Skullface on top of Prison. It's always a battle for Prison in some form or fashion. It's just a matter of when. Right now, only several teams, couple teams rather, floating around the edges of Prison, and that one team in the showers. Skullface, one hiding in the corner, breaks the camera. Oh, Skullface almost put one of the nastiest clips of all time on the timeline. I almost just lost it. Samir, make sure that, no, Coach, don't freak out. I got it in the bag. He can't break my camera, not here on land.
Look, Skullface might well go down there, but this is a considerably better map from them. They struggled in map 1. They might have got third, but they only picked up 8 kills overall. They're already on to 10 in this one. Skullface snapping in that one shows exactly why. On board with Biffle. He actually won't get that kill. It's going to be Noobs and Skullface picking up more.
Wow.
Pushing through Grandma's and looking for Smith, who's trying to escape for his life. You've got to assume the rest of the team's in trouble, and Shifty's shooting fish in a barrel.
Yeah, got to find the fish when you can get them. I mean, they're free. They're floating around out there just waiting for somebody to shoot them. Stukek's going down. It looks like his team, though, still fully alive for the most part, so going to be respawning back in and floating above his squad. Now, I got to say, that Fnatic squad is having their way with this lobby. We have got to check out that team whenever they're in their next encounter. What is going right this time around? As Biffle and Shifty push up into a 2v3, this could be chaos for BSL. This could be chaos for the winner of the last map. They're able to get one. Goes down. Bagel in trouble. Pushes out smokes, and it's not enough, especially with a third party. Here comes Intex. Here comes the second place team on our leaderboard cleaning up, and it's a battle for position as Intex comes out on top.
Somewhere Intex pulls off a sniper at point-blank range. Is that? It goes absolutely crazy. Dongi will be out of this, out an absolutely massive map 1, but he will be brought back in. And I was about to say, the thing is, with that two-player strategy that Falcons have, although it has gained them 10 kills currently, you end up in this situation sometimes where you're just running into too many bodies. Intex absolutely snaps onto Trevs. That was gorgeous for everyone except for the lineup that he is countering, and will actually decide to play on in through the water. Dongi's going to clean that on up, and Dongi and Intex just continuing a bit of a reign of terror here through Harbor.
Wow, Intex, all right. I think he's warmed up. My goodness, picks up a couple in transition, snaps on another to knock, and I don't think he got the full, but we're going to head over to that Eisen squad. They frankly had a great map in the first round. This is a squad a lot of teams weren't really counting on to be a top competitor, but they've had a great map thus far, and they're winning gunfights like that because they're playing together. Same strategy, 2v whatever's in your path. It's no more 3v3 fights, not until this Resurgence timer stops. King Maddie is on 5, by the way, overall, as here comes swooping in that AG Global squad. There's some trash talk between our two Latin American North teams, AG Global versus Eisen, all from the same region. They've played against each other, with each other, traded teammates in the past, but here on main stage, they are rivals. They will not let the other team gain a single inch in this competition.
Moved over towards a big fight is Na'Vi up against Alula. Zephyr will actually crack Jukies, who's trying to push up the stairs. As gas galore, Jukies gets swarmed, Jukies gets cleaned up. And 2 players will still be alive for that side, but it looks like they're basically in a recovery situation. Na'Vi will lay claim to control center. I spoke about this as a landing spot earlier and how effective you can be from out of there. Right now, the land completely belongs to them. And we move back on over to our Falcon side. Soka has no kills thus far. He's been playing that anchor role, but he's looking to explode.
Soka on 1,142 damage without a single kill to his name and gets dumpstered on by Bagel. Just some bad timing pushing through. But Shifty on 6. The team in total on 11, by the way. That means Biffle has 5. They truthfully are sending Biffle and Shifty to 2v everything in their path, and it's working thus far. But they don't have their anchor, and Biffle's under fire by BSL. Somehow this team, who's been in trouble, frankly, this map, BSL has somehow restabilized. They got their team together. They're getting the loot they need to at least make some plays inside of the outer edge of this zone here in Factory.
And they are indeed, but the thing is, you got to be concerned about the fact that you are surrounded by the Falcons and you have a lot of rotation to make elsewhere, because the zone is going to shift you in about 45 seconds. You have a lot of ground to cover. You've got to go uphill. You're going to essentially be trying to push either through headquarters or towards a very compact prison.
By the way, Bagel just took down Biffle again, so they did not let Biffle rotate out as Noobs continues to find eliminations. Big question was, where was the Fnatic squad? Would they show up in Resurgence? And so far, so good. They are on 16 kills, ladies and gentlemen. Noobs on 8. Half of the team's kills resting on Noobs' back. This team is on fire as they fly around the map and likely have a chance to drop the biggest map of the day. But what's wild about map 2, Enigma? Not a single team has been eliminated yet. It is still anyone's ball game with our multiplier still in play.
You can just see how the teams are learning and adjusting as we go. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, after this one, we actually split some of the players out of here and bring in a whole new batch. And the thing is, you've now got this situation with Noobs, Almond, and Skullface looking out to control top prison. Teams are going to be rotating up. We spoke about some of those just moments ago, and this is what you can do as Eisen pushes and Noobs finds him and Noobs cleans him up to go on to 9. Fnatic continuing to pick things up here, and look, every part of the team we were hoping they'd be on land.
Do you guys have pest control over in the UK?
We do.
Okay, I think Almond and Noobs are like pest control. They're just like running around and gassing out all the rats in the corners, hunting them down, trapping them, setting them up in kill boxes between the two of them. As you see other teams doing different strategies. Well, Huskers, where is he? Above water tower, raining hellfire from above, and apparently can't clean up Lucanus behind the HVAC unit. Finally gets it. It does get netted to him. That's 3 for Husk, playing anchor, but still finding kills. He would love to drop a Fnatic player right now. He would love to drop Almond, but frustratingly, Noobs is there to continue to play pest control and shoot out the rats.
Skullface here just looking to find Huskers, looking to just hammer bullets through, but won't find enough purchase. So back on off with his teammate. The problem is you've got a lot of players beneath you, so any gunfight that go on for a long period of time here, you are risking getting third parties, especially when Huskers decides to return fire just like that. Jackal being out of there for this duo means that they are missing one of the players that's been putting on work for them, and they're trying to get an opportunity together here where they can just essentially bring him back in. But look at how Falcons missing Shifty, Biffle, and Soak are going to have to make a rotation. We're
going to keep reminding you, you can see it on the display here. The respawn is currently disabled at the end of the 3rd circle. If you see a 4 anywhere on the screen, up in the top middle, that means Resurgence is done for. You get eliminated, you are out of here. You got to get bought back. Your team gets eliminated, see you later. No coming back from this one. And BSL trying to repeat success, trying to make history to be the first team to go back-to-back on land here for Resurgence. The Falcons, though, on the move on the edge of the map.
And the Falcons are about to squeeze up on this, and they've got a lot of bodies in their way. We know that BSL are there, and we know that there's at least 2 other solos in the region, so potential here for the Falcons to go absolutely massive. We are losing more players off here as the Singapore Syndicates are removed from the board. Soka gets it down onto Bagel. BSL suddenly realizing we've been squeezed by the Falcons, and you do not have Resurgence. You're in a world of pain if you're Liam.
Liam is the only player remaining for BSL. That would mean our team that won in trouble. Singapore was in 2nd on the leaderboard. They're out of here in like 12th. No chance of moving up the leaderboard any more than whatever kills they got. We're not even into multipliers yet, Enigma, and we're moving into the 5th and 6th circle as Liam finally falls with the PDS. He's hanging out in the gas as long as he can. Hard Trevs is not going to let Liam get up. That is a full team wipe. See ya. BSL not going to make history, not yet. We'll see who wins map number 2.
The problem with that play, you pop that PDS, you let everyone know exactly where you are. Skullface and Noobs essentially trying to pick players out of the sky here. Walter trying to land with his guild teammates. But look at the angles that you have here. Again, I go back to something though. If you are making a lot of noise on this rooftop, you're risking third party from so many angles. And there's a lot of players that have still got to rotate on up here. May well push this rooftop.
Yeah, this is going to be a very interesting fight. You can see the zone is shrinking. That is certainly the case. It's about to get real small, and it is centering on Water Tower of all places. Noobs, this Fnatic squad, they have ultimate height, and frankly, now that you see the rotation of the zone beginning to move, no one can pressure them on ultimate high, but the problem is they got to make it all the way into zone, so they got to drop down, and they're going to be running into about 6 other teams, all trying to do the same thing. This is where the utter chaos of Resurgence and Rebirth Island comes into play. The people here first will find success. Shifty finds one. Teammates answering back. Falcons out of here. They're in 8th place, a 1.2x multiplier, and Fnatic somehow only lost 1 in that crazy transition. Look at the zone pull.
The zone pull has exactly just pulled the complete other way. So many teams that tried to rotate just then. Fnatic, Noobs and co, and then the rest of the Shifty Biffle squad all in trouble there as they rotate on over, and then essentially Whiplash back into position. We're on board with Twisted Minds, who just made a rotation through the courtyard, and they've got to come back on themselves where Na'Vi are waiting.
Na'Vi yet again in the top 5. Na'Vi yet again with the zone pull. This time, can they reverse history? Can they this time win this encounter as the onslaught comes flying at them? Aiden's squad, Twisted Minds, had a terrible map 1, and now a chance to reverse the curse, swing around the edge of the zone, and move into this new circle. This is where you have to play zone, and they're going to make the rotation with gas mask, and they're going to lose Smith in the rotation because they needed to get here, and they needed to get here early. Reminder, we're into the 1.4x multiplier. We need a 1.7 at least for second place, and Aiden's going to make a play. Finds 3 in his way, so backs off. C-Smith somehow got the self-revive alive, so they have 3, but they're weak. Aiden in trouble. They push the fight. Na'Vi will not relent. Na'Vi will not fall, but finally the third party, Hard Trebs, Drake, they come in and ruin Na'Vi's day. Na'Vi cannot get out of this top 5 position.
And it's not just this 2v2 conversation. There's actually going to be players lurking on the edge of this. So while Trev tries to squeeze on up, Smith and Knight are just trying to play around this, but the gas is going to continue to encroach them. Skullface actually picks off Drake. Fnatic are involved in this conversation towards the end, but Twisted Minds, 2 players left and looking to try and push on through this gas. And Skullface and Ormond are going to clean up Lucanas and Hard Trebs, and this we're down to 2v2.
It is Fnatic all day, every day in map 2, and it's not close. Down below, Twisted Mind holding on by the hair of their chinny chin chin. It is a 2v2, but Fnatic have everything in their favor. They have all the kills. They got a 1.7x multiplier. The question is, will you make it a 2x? They push the fight first and they win it. 1, 2, can they get both? No! Knight goes huge! The X Factor, would he show up today? He does. Twisted Minds proves me wrong. They prove Fnatic wrong, and they earn a ton of points with a 2x multiplier.
We are just 2 maps in, baby, and the storylines are insane. We've already talked everything about map 1, BSL, destroy, etc., but right there, Go Knight goes massive. Could he deliver on land? Would he be the player that Twisted Minds wanted him to be? And he snaps for the victory.
Every single player, every analyst, every person at home said, was it the right move to get Knight at the end of the day? Was it the right move to pull a Resurgence-only player into competitive form yet again after a couple years off? The answer apparently is yes, at least in map 2. A massive win in the final moments of map 2 net the 2x multiplier. And I think, frankly, maybe more important, they stopped a Fnatic squad that easily was the top slaying team from getting a 2x multiplier. You won points and you took away a ton from an opponent.
Yeah, exactly, and it's an opponent that's likely going to be dueling with you for those spots because of how difficult these groups are looking right now. You definitely can consider that Fnatic being in that Group B, they need every single point that they can get from good positions like that. They had a tough map 1, picking up just the 8 kills, exploded into this one, however. But yes, Twisted Minds on your screen right now, the people who have won map 2 here, and it's considerably better than their placing in map 1, which was 12, not really in the conversation. You know, you start to then come into things. Was solos yesterday maybe just something that they felt a little bit hot in, and today maybe won't be their day, but they have fixed things up there in map 2.
Man, I love the math of kill multipliers, I gotta say. We tuned into Fnatic when there were 11 squads alive, and they had 17 kills, and then we didn't check in with their total kills for the entire map, and they get a 1.7x. So a massive amount of points thwarted, a massive amount of points gained for Twisted Minds. Taylor Reflections Noble, what the heck is going on in the analyst booth? Because we're losing our minds here in the caster.
Minds, and I think we need to clean up a little bit because Gorgo Knight just cleaned up the competition. First time in a long time on land and called himself the what?
I'm pretty sure we heard from Eastman, right? It was the Resurgence janitor.
Resurgence
The retired janitor. And I said, hey, if Knight wins something, if he clutches, please can I bring a broom?
Incredible. I cannot believe. And he did clutch, right? Because that was almost a clutch moment coming out from Skullface, who nearly wins the 1v2.
I mean, it was down to a 1v2, but it was originally a 2v2.
That's
Twisted
right.
Minds forced to move all the way to one side of the circle to the other. They have to contest Na'Vi, keep them in face of Icons. Icons wipe Na'Vi. They push into Twisted Minds, lose the fight. Ahmed had the high ground, but didn't have the circle pull. It was everything just lining up. The stars aligned for Twisted Minds towards the end there, and it was just a huge moment to bring the broom out.
Had to bring the broom out, you guys. I had to. Listen, there's something, I'm telling you, we're predicting some stuff here. Even with the destroy stuff coming back, right? Let's go. But that was insane. You guys closed endgame and new Icons, right? They were waiting on the other side, I believe, Biochemical rotating in and just really, really played spoiler alert.
Here's that moment, right? The 2v2. You can tell the height difference, right? At this point, I'm thinking Skullface and them, they've got it in the bag, but not so fast. They drop down. One gets finished. Skullface nearly picks up the second. but then ultimately he will fall as Gorgo Knight finishes him off and then gets to cleanups. An incredible moment and a massive win coming out from Twisted Minds.
Yeah, you know what's wild about that, actually? I feel like Armin went just a little bit too early. He drops down just a little bit earlier than Skullface does. It's just a tiny bit out of sync.
Yeah.
And it is those microseconds that make all the difference there in that final play. A little bit more in sync, that would have been an entirely different result.
And the pathing from Knight to go underneath them
Right.
too, using that height to the disadvantage of the side of Falcons. I mean, it's why you call him in to play on your team for Twisted Minds. They pick him up for these Resurgence tournaments just because he makes those micro plays and those chaotic moments. This guy, he's been around when it comes to Call of Duty, not just in Warzone, but in multiplayer as well. And he is on top of his game right now. Twisted Minds on fire in the solos, on fires in the trios. This is a team that I had to take in my predictions, and I am really glad I took them in my predictions.
And there's Aiden. Aiden was literally pointing at the crowd like, I know there's a lot of Falcons fans out there, but today, right now, we're going to make you Twisted Minds fans. I love that ending. Incredible stuff. And really, a big ending for a lot of different reasons. We talked about, obviously, that 1v2 at the, or excuse me, 2v2 at the end. Twisted Minds, right, Fnatic. But talk to me about Hardtrap, because he was in an impossible situation, but made it look pretty good.
Yeah, and like we said, kind of like where that zone was pulling, right? For the most part, we did see, which, by the way, shout out to Fnatic, because even from the last game, right, being alive in that late game, but how many eliminations that they were to pull up at Prison, right? Just each level taking over. But while that chaos was going down on the other side, yes, the rotation over on the other side of the Prison, Hardtrev's new icons, they had to rotate far, but playing spoiler alert, right? Na'Vi on the other side too, just that chaos. Guys, it was chaos everywhere. But what was hard for some of these teams were those rotations.
Yeah, you know what's funny, actually, and just a very quick shout out here. This is the second time, and I'm sure it won't be the last today. New icons are hanging right now. I mean, the fact of the matter is we were discussing them to be a really difficult group. Group B, the group of death. So they're going to have to deal with all those teams every single game that they play. Fact of the matter is, they've been in a discussion twice now. They're not just hanging, they're doing really well in these games.
We gotta put some respect on the teams that we counted out. New icons and BSL are showing up here. It's just, it's been such a crazy day so far, where maybe it was the break that we had at the start and they just locked in for this one.
Could have been. I mean, the break, everybody had that break though. You know, they all had that break, and maybe some of them got chilled out a little bit longer than others. But regardless though, I mean, some teams are heating up, like you said, that we weren't necessarily expecting. I will say though, it is great. Even though Fnatic, they get the second place, they lose that 1v1, or at least Skullface was in a very tough spot. I'm so happy for their performance, because yesterday in solos, we had a lot of questions about them. How were they going to perform? Skullface was almost dead last in solos, and now they should be near the top. Let's actually find out and take a look at the current standings, the leaderboard. We know Destroy was leading a little bit before, but new take over first place.
Yo, that is amazing, especially, I mean, we had mentioned it, Group B is stacked, and man, new icons 36.4 in the standings, but Fnatic, look at that jump up, you know, consistency is key, 35.2.
Yeah, Fnatic obviously having a great game there. We talked about it, right? This is the second time, 2 games in a row now, in which they've tried to get Prison control. This time it was a little bit different, we'll say that much, right? I mean, last game, they were kind of hiding out, they were chilling like a villain in bottom Prison. This game, instead, it was going to be the top Prison area, right?
That's right.
Just insane play from Fnatic.
Well, let's head over to the STC Arena with the winner interview from Boogs.
To focus on game 1, that opening win of the day. What an incredible performance. That must have been a nice little confidence boost, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a good confidence boost, yeah, 100%.
So I think that one of the things we should talk about is, you know, in that first game, you guys were hunkered down, you know, underneath bottom Prison, right? I feel like from you being the IGL of the team, it showed really good patience. Is that something that you've been working on, considering Resurgence is obviously so chaotic normally?
Yeah, I don't have the best gunny, it's a well-known fact, but I like using my brains. But it was actually StuKex who made a good call to take bottom Prison. He didn't air any audio, and then he got a lucky thermo. He threw one, stuck a player, and then we just stacked them out and took their position.
I mean, that's amazing. I think that one of the things I noticed that the casters and the analysts were talking about in between game 1 and 2 was your team chemistry and how good it has been. Is that something you guys feel you excel at in particular? Do you feel like your chem's really good?
I wouldn't say excel, but we've definitely been working on it. Just playing ranked, even multiplayer ranked, just pubbing, just getting the comms flowing.
Now, since yesterday, obviously, we had like solos yesterday going into today. Did you guys have like a sit down and chat and essentially work out what you guys want to come into today doing the most or focusing on the most? Because, you know, it's going to be absolutely carnage today. You know it is. But yeah, what was that team like strat meeting like?
Yeah, we didn't do the best in solos, but none of us are worried because it doesn't mean anything in the trios event. But yeah, we just sat down, figured out some landing spots, and then it worked well, I guess.
It did indeed. Bugs, thank you so much for joining me in this interview. I really appreciate it. We can't wait to see what you guys bring to the table for the rest of today and tomorrow. Let's hope you get into the finals. Congratulations, man. We'll see you later. All right, and for now, we are going to head back over to the studio so they can carry on breaking everything down before we dive into our next set of matches.
All right, Barty, thank you for that interview over at the STC Arena where it's getting heated up. I've been hearing the crowd actually just come through a little bit, and I know they're excited, especially when Falcons are up there, of course, but Twisted Minds, big victory overall. Huge come up from Fnatic, and Icons taking over first, which is tremendous based off their eliminations. Already a major surprise day, and I'm genuinely blown away from it. Now, I know we're transferring from A to C, but a little bit more conversation about those first two games because I want to talk about Group B a little bit more since they're going to be a little bit on ice. As we look through our highlights, though, I do want to talk to you specifically, Seymour, about this battle that we've been consistently seeing throughout Maps 1 and Map 2, BSL versus Falcons.
Yeah, I think BSL versus Falcons has kind of shaken things up in Group B because we had the group of death, we had the teams that we talked about, and BSL kind of wasn't really in that conversation. But Falcons haven't really been able to play to their full potential yet because they've had BSL breathing down their neck. And you hear Boogs on the interview talking about he's got the best gunny here. He's proving it in a lot of these fights. He's going toe-to-toe with literally the Kings, and if you go for the Kings, you better not miss. So far, they're not missing this fight between Falcons as well as BSL. I'm curious to see if over the course of the day, one of these teams, maybe even Falcons, decides to go for a new drop spot because it just hasn't been paying off for them.
Yeah, you know what's funny is right now we have a look at that kind of massive mess up that we were talking about, right? All the teams that were sat inside prison. I think there was about 4 or 5 of them. And
on all layers.
Yeah, all layers. I mean, prison, it's a multifaceted building, right? There's a lot going on inside the prison. And you're seeing basically that transition from prison all the way down to the final zone. Just a quick shout out to Na'Vi, by the way, because this is the second game in a row now that Na'Vi have had the zone pull to them. And that's the reason why they are so high up in our final standings. Surely it's got to come to them soon.
Absolutely, but how smart was it for Twisted Minds to rotate outside of zone in through the grass side, right, and go around behind Na'Vi, and Aiden dodging all of those thermites was absolutely insane, and then Knight throwing one up there too, getting a couple of knocks. I believe, yeah, Zeppa did knock Aiden, but for Knight to clutch through all of that chaos, you got to give credit to the rotation, right? We talk about play styles changing late game. Z-Smith making that call, listen to me, let's rotate outside of zone, get into a better position, and that is what's key in the end game. You have to play positioning perfectly.
You have to. It's so pivotal, especially on Rebirth. Positioning is everything. I got excited when I saw Alman up here because I'm like, ooh, things are looking pretty special. When you're up there, it's great, but when the zone then starts to pass you and you got to go down on top prison, now you get put into the blender. It's never an easy thing.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well with prison, right? I think there's kind of a double-sided blade, as it were, right? I mean, yeah, there's that advantage, obviously, of having the high ground and be able to look in multiple directions, be able to move in multiple directions, but once you get forced off of prison, you are vulnerable. You're flying down, you're in a position that you're not favorable, and that is exactly what happens to Almond in that final play. He's forced down towards an unfavorable position, and that's why that timing was not there with Skullface. Didn't really have a choice.
Look at Aiden.
Hey, I don't know if he's timing. It wouldn't surprise me if he is, but Aiden, he knows his lands, right? He has played in so many lands that I've been a part of, and obviously ones that I've watched in the past. So he's got that experience. He's bringing the energy, and it's incredibly valuable. BSL, though, a team that has just been exceeding all expectations. So happy that they're doing so well. Now, though, I do want to focus the conversation to Falcons one more time because obviously the big dogs, the heavy hitters, and the fans' favorites. I think maybe some readjustments need to be made. And I point this to you, Dream, and the reason why, previous competitor, obviously. But I'm watching them go stronghold. Again, they're going up to that greenhouse rotation just outside of Tents. Yeah. They eventually make their way over to Factory. 2 times they have found themselves in trouble trying to rotate up from Factory up to whether it be headquarters or up towards prison, and both times finish off top 8. That rotation is hard enough as it is, and both times they found themselves be put into the blender, finishing up both in 8th place.
Yeah, which is really good too, because in some of these situations, like we talk about regain, right? It's really hard for these teams to regain, but for Falcons to be able to fight against that adversity, that's something that they're good at, right? They thrive in these chaotic moments to where they can survive late game. But you know, that's what's interesting too about this Group B in particular for Falcons. They're switching out right now. They do have time to maybe readjust, look at some strategies, maybe talk about it, but also watch some of the watch their team, watch the group that they just played against. So now A versus C. Now they can think, we're taking a break. Let's see what we can fix up.
Well, fix up, and again, like, just go to that point, right? It's like from factory rotating up, both 8 places. Like, that's okay and that's good, but I know they want more. I'm thinking maybe potentially a readjustment in the positioning or maybe rotating a bit earlier. But like you said, they have a chance now. Sit down, relax a little bit, and see what their competitors are going to be doing. The next time we're going to be watching Group B, Falcons and many others, right? The Group of Death, as we've been calling them, is going to be in the next 2 maps after the 2 maps that are coming up here when they play against C Group. Now it is all about A versus C. A, they're obviously warmed up. C, they now have to go on stage and get warmed up themselves. Who are we looking out for Group C to challenge Group A?
Well, this is the thing. With Group C, you had so many teams that just have been waiting even longer than those two. Just watching, waiting, having that chance to maybe speculate on who is kind of sitting where on Group A, who to target. The Twisted Minds team, obviously people are going to be paying attention to them now from what they're going into the second set with, because you have Omit, Heretics, you have Cloud9, so many teams that are smart, so many teams that have something to prove coming into this EWC. And although you don't want to count Group C just as the easy team, this is a group that you have to look at these teams and you see they have all something to prove.
Yeah, and that is the big one. I mentioned it, right? I mean, Cloud9, the fact that they're now coming into this group. Again, it is not an easy group by any means. There are no easy teams here at the Esports World Cup. That's why it's the World Cup, for heaven's sake. It's some of the best teams in the world.
Right.
But still, C is an easier group than Group B for sure. That's why we called it the Group B, the Group of Death. Cloud9, by no means an easy team. Something I want to point out from that last game, we saw Huskers in that position, right, on the water tower.
Yes.
Huskers ain't going to be in this game. Gaming Gladiators, they are out of this one. They are in Group B.
It's free
But
real
I'll tell you
estate.
who will be there. Redman, mate. He's got it. He's on free rent. He will be in that water tower. He will be anchoring for his team.
Yeah, I mean, that Group C, you're right. Like, I mean, okay, maybe people say it's the easier group, but I mean, we're looking at Abwiz,
Who says
Prodigy,
that?
right? Oh,
This guy did.
Yeah, maybe. But no, like you're thinking about some of these players, Team Heretics, Abwiz, of course, Oiki, just pulling off that crazy win yesterday. We're still going to see some craziness coming from this group, and yeah, Cloud9, that's a good shout.
Yeah, so for me, obviously Team Zix, I've been pumping them up. They're now about to be in front of their home crowd. When we talk about Team Zix, Hamoud, both Saudi locals, right, representing Saudi Arabia themselves, and then you also have Krims, who's representing Pakistan, the only Pakistani competitor going into global finals and also competing today. So a lot of pride and prestige there. I cannot wait to see what they're going to be bringing to the table. AB Wiz, we talk about them potentially stealing some of those club points. They can do that.
Yep.
Their Group C, right?
Yeah.
A lot to talk about. Now, Dream, when we come to new icons, though, once again, new icons have been tearing it up. They've been doing so well. And from what I'm hearing, we do have our MVP. Whenever it comes to him, let's see who it is. Drake!
Drake.
Okay, Drake
Wow.
MVP. I like this Dream.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I'm sure that comes as a surprise to all of us, right? I mean, coming out from a heavy-hitting group to be able to do that, but for the confidence that he was showing through and through, he was super aggressive in every single gunfight. And if you noticed, he was taking down some good players too. I believe a couple of those squads, it was Tommy and co, right? Going against them, Juki's, I mean, Patsuka. You're seeing some good players that they're going against that they're not afraid to challenge.
And I don't want to take anything away from Lucina. It's a monster map #1 as well. 7 kills for new icons. Like, this team, I don't know what they kind of talked about between the solos and the trios or what they've really been working on together heading into the EWC, but whatever it is, it's working. And if I'm an org and I'm looking at all the teams and I didn't pick up new icons right now, I'm like, why did I pick up this team?
Felt a bit silly, right? I mean, Drake, MVP, match MVP. That's big for him, and that's going to give him the confidence, right? Pushing forward, new icons, taking on the big dog, the biggest of dogs in the tournament, and they are now the big dog themselves. Now, how far can they continue to go? That's the question that only they can answer. But shout out to Drake for that. And by the way, they are in Oregon. They are represented. So new icons looking good. And hey, new icons now. The question, do they keep them? I think so. Do they give them a raise? I'm saying give them a raise, all right? New icons leading the charge, but now C has entered into the fight. How well will they do? We'll find out all that and more when we come back from the break.
لحظات البداية عاشت معنا. كنا نحسبها وقت للتسلية بس. نحسبها بس ذكريات.
عبود أعطي أختك اليد يا ولد.
ابتكرنا فيها ابتكارات، وإذا بغينا قلبناها خرافات. كنا نحسبها بس لمة وصحبة وسهرات.
انتبه نوب ترى نوب.
لكن كنا نشوف عالم ما حد يشوفه.
ليت يشغل وقته بشيء يفيده.
الله عليك على اليد.
عالم كبر وعاش فينا. عالم الحماس فيه يوصلك كل مرة لحلم أصعب، بس ما يصعب عليك. بارد معك وين ما تروح.
And welcome back, everyone, to the Esports World Cup. This is Call of Duty Warzone. We are about to enter in a fresh new group of competitors. We're talking about Group C to challenge those of Group A, how we just witnessed putting up a tremendous fight. Group B, I'll have to wait just a second. I'm your host, Taylor Reflections Noble, joined by Dream Crazy, Infinity, and Seymour. Hey, this is a fresh new two groups of games. The last two, mind you, for Group A, right? So they need to make the most of it. They might have a lead here. They might not have performed well as they wanted to. These are the last two games to get it started, because tomorrow, Seymour, tomorrow means we start with 21 teams, but we will finish with just 14.
And you kind of got to look at today as you got to go all out, because you don't want to be playing off the back foot tomorrow. You want to make sure that you are still in contention at the top, that you don't have to go, you know, on fire all day tomorrow. You could just keep it going as best as you can into that top 14 teams. The pressure is everything here in EWC. We've seen it from so many teams at the top. We've seen it, you know, teams at the bottom starting to rise as well, new icons in BSL. And it goes to show that literally nobody is safe here. So in these last couple of games, you do have to see these changes come through, and I'm excited to see Group C.
I'm excited to see Group C as well. The reality is you only, at least for group play, there's only 8 games played per group. And that's not a lot, really, when you think about it. Right now, only 6 more remain, specifically for Group B at this point in time. So, and Group A, I should say. Group C, they're just about to get started, but not a lot. The point is you have to be playing all out. If you don't, like, you might get left behind.
You might.
So now let's push our conversation once again back into Group C, the new challengers who are coming through. I mentioned Team 6. I think Team 6 is about to have a tremendous star-studded performance. The team that obviously, like I said, 2 Saudi locals, but then you also have 1 representing Pakistan in the name of Crims. A team that is about to play in front of their home crowd. A team that represents the Falcons during the World Series of Warzone run to Global Finals, and they will be at Global Finals as they finished off top 3 when it came to the regional finals, right, when it came to EMEA. So, with that being said, no, they're not earning points today for the club championship, but that'll be the other roster of Biffle, Shifty, and Ahsoka. But this team still, though, has the Falcons banner behind them in some way or another. So you better believe the pride is there. I think this is their time to shine, and truly the first test for this roster outside of solos, which wasn't the best. But that's okay, because we've seen some teams today who weren't the best in solos, and they've been absolutely star-studded today. A good example of that is Fnatic, right? Who have been absolutely out of this world. Again, who's your team that you're looking out for? Because I know we talked about Heretics right at the beginning, and Heretics is also in that Group C.
Yeah, we're looking at Cams, right? He was the team that kind of led them into having this group, you know, kind of being up there in the standings. I believe Cams was 12th, 12th in kills and 12th in placements, but also both of his teams, both methods, right? Being a part of being retired and a CDL coach now, coming back in and playing and just, you know, doing somewhat decent, still amazing for Heretics. I'm excited to see how, you know, what's going to change from yesterday to today, because yes, it's trios, yes, it's going to be different. But for Cams and Cams and Daga, though, who played at the World Series of Warzone last year, being on land, they're familiar with that territory. I'm just excited to see what they could do.
I am too. Heretics, a great organization to represent, and also a great organization coming back of Cloud9. Let's talk about Cloud9 right there here, and they're looking to go big for the first time on main stage.
Good segue. It's kind of funny, right? Because again, a lot of the conversation around Cloud9, I think in the solo stage was just Breadman. But I think you do need to talk about the rest of the roster, right? Joe, again, has been a staple performer in Warzone for the last few years. He's also one of those really fun players to watch, and he and Breadman have been playing together for about as long as I can remember, which I'll be honest, my memory is pretty terrible, so it might not be that long. You know, and Jace as well joining that roster for this season. Of course, they were playing with Limax last season, which was an interesting pickup in on itself. But still, this Cloud9 roster, really, really good. And again, I think, you know, they're kind of having not so much an easy time of it, but I think they'll be happy with the fact that they are in Group C. They are, in my mind, the biggest threat easily in Group C. And again, going back to what I said before the break, I think Breadman is that guy. I mean, he is going to be the biggest problem here by far. The fact that he is just able to do what he's able to do on Resurgence with the Kar98, I mean, it's just silly at this point.
It's silly. And by the way, that man smiling on the left, Joe, I love that man. He's great. He's a wonderful competitor. He's been playing for the longest time. Joe is also going to be bringing the heat. 4 and Jace, though, another scary, and the Movement King and Joe, right, and 4 and Jace. This trio can absolutely go the distance. And Puckett had a chance to talk to Breadman. We heard that interview, right? Would you rather fight a bear or what was the other one? A gorilla. A gorilla. And he said, well, I got brass knuckles. That would take on the gorilla, I believe it was. So, hey, he's ready to take on the world just like he's ready to take on the competition. Now, let's go to Group A, though. Some teams that maybe did well and some teams that struggled. The big one for me, Eula, right? Eula taking some early losses. They didn't get their feet underneath them. In Game 1, they took an early L. All 3 were eliminated. They were the first team eliminated in Game 1. Game 2, they started off rocky as well, Seymour.
Yeah, it's kind of scary because you had such a good day yesterday, getting 2 wins in the solos, but it's going to set you back a little bit considering you were literally the first team knocked out today in your first game. You get 0 points in that one. You have a little bit of catch up to do in these next 2 games. And not only that, you have teams in your group, Twisted Minds, SGP, Na'Vi, and Destroy, who alongside BSL, let's be honest, who have all been performing exceptionally well. This isn't going to be easy for Alula to just dig their way out of this position. They have a lot of work to do right now.
A lot of work to do.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of that was because of who they were fighting, right? It was a lot of bio, bio action, and they were fighting Stiwu, Patsuka, and Exian. So it's like, you have to think for some of these teams, all right, who am I going to be fighting? Maybe what good teams should I be avoiding?
That's fact.
But it's like for Alula, yes, they were fighting some good teams, and it was just difficult to recover. And I believe map 2, we saw some adjustments.
Yeah.
They were able to maybe make some type of recovery, Brody.
Yeah, I mean, they were trying different things. I think you could definitely
Yeah.
tell that. I think Tommy was trying to be the anchor in the play, trying to move forward somewhat to get them some kind of path out of bio, as you were saying, but they just couldn't do it. I think Tommy felt, I want to say it was to Luke and Asincar. I'm not entirely sure whether it was them that took them out.
I think it was.
But yeah, Tommy going down, I think just kind of ruined their entire play. And even at the start of the map with the gunfights they were taking, it just felt like they were lacking the same venom that you would normally expect from those guys. They were not winning the gunfights. Juki is unable to get it done, as was Lennon up top. I mean, they just couldn't win those opening gunfights. Something has to change for Alula right now.
And I will say they are one of the teams that are sticking together, which typically is a great thing. But in Resurgence, at least what I've noticed off the first 2 games, the best teams are having one player be the anchor, whether that be over in Stronghold with Ahsoka. I think you mentioned Nate Dogg. He was top tower overlooking prison, right? Top light tower. Alula is a team that I think just needs to make an adjustment. I don't know who would anchor, to be fair, but I mean, hey, it's got to be one of them.
Oh man, it's just so funny seeing these pictures every single time. I mean, everyone else takes it seriously, right? Tommy, you know, he's been in the business for many years. He takes that seriously. Juki's is also right there. Lennon is just such a personality, and honestly, I think he probably is my single favorite European Warzone player. A, because he's just so funny. He's just, honestly, he's such a wonderful guy.
Yeah.
And B, because he's nice. There's not a single iota of ego to this guy.
Yeah, no, most definitely. I was just going to say, so sweet, so kind. But Len, right, like, he's always been a slayer, always been, like, that clutch factor of the squad. I don't think he would I mean, maybe they alternate anchors, you know, but Tommy, you know, obviously he's just one of the best IGLs in the game. But, you know, I was just going to say for Len, I just loved the fact that he shouted out his girl. You got to love some of the COD Warzone girls.
Yes.
I mean,
The
I saw Peachy, you know, cheering on Ben, Fnatic, you know, you got Almond that buff, and as well as, you know, Selly supporting Shifty too. You gotta love the COD Warzone girls. I just wanted to give a shout out to some of them.
Shout out to the girlfriends out there, all right? Getting those brownie points is Lennon, and getting brownie points for me is Juki's. I'm a big fan. Let's hear what Juki's had to say.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Esports World Cup here in Riyadh. I'm Enigma, and today we're doing interviews, and we've got one of the UK's best players to ever touch the stage. It is Juki's. Juki's, welcome aboard. How you feeling, man?
I feel good, you know, feel good. Had a good rest yesterday, I'm good to go.
Do you think, at the minute, you're one of the best players in the game?
At Warzone, on a whole, yeah. You know,
Okay.
Resurgence, I've been learning it though, you know, the last couple of weeks. It is Warzone. Bit of a twist, you know, you got loads of lives, but...
So then who do you think is the best player in the world?
I think Tommy on a whole, you know, my teammate.
Okay.
Put some gas in there for him.
All right. You're loading into the map. Is there any team you don't want to land on you?
No, not really. We're all in the same boat. At the beginning of the game, we've all got a pistol. Anything can happen. We can all kill, we can all shoot. So there's not really any team I don't mind landing on us, off the rip.
But is there a specific team or player that you really want to go after on this map?
There's one team on this game at the moment that you don't really want to run into. You know, they've got everything as a team, like the structure, like the teamwork, the reps, you know, the experience. They've got everything. I probably don't even need to say who they are.
I mean, we're gonna have to in an interview.
You know, SSD.
Yeah.
You know,
the Falcons. Yeah.
But they are very unpredictable, like so unpredictable. I feel like everyone else is predictable apart from them.
Is there anyone who's not here that you wish was, so you could maybe put them in their place?
Yeah, Scumman. He's good at like running around and just shooting his gun. Everything else that comes with him just doesn't really work, obviously, as teams in his past know. So yeah, I wouldn't mind running into him on the map and putting him down.
Is it a gaming thing, a personal thing? Because I'll be honest, I was expecting a different answer there.
Bit of both. Nah, I don't know, you know. He's very good, but I just love to put him down, yeah. And I'd let him know, I'd put a full clip into him as well.
What do you want to say to friends, family, supporters, whoever has made it your journey to get here?
Oh God. I mean, I let them know every time, you know, I get that special feeling of how blessed I actually am. I'm very grateful for my community that I've got back at home, all the people that have supported me, my family, my mum, my dad, my brother most of all. I do this for my kid, as people know, Elijah, my baby. And yeah, I'm grateful to be here. I'm thankful for everything and everyone.
Wonderful stuff.
Thank you.
That was Juki's representing Al Ula here at the Esports World Cup. I'm looking forward to seeing how you do, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
if you guys caught that, but Juki's was hanging out on that couch, man. He was relaxed, and
Chill.
he said, nobody else matters. We all start with the pistol. It's all the same ball game, so we don't care who we have to play.
No, I'm sure each one of you know that at some point this game, it's all in the mind, and you know who your competitor is. It's all up to how you perceive them. And you see, for Juki's, he's saying for his whole team, everybody starts with a pistol. Everybody has to fall into the map, and at some point or not, you're going to have to fight them. So why not do it at the beginning? He doesn't care who he's going to fight. He doesn't care who drops on them, and that is a good mindset to come into that. Not only that, I like to hear that he's gassing up Tommy as well. Just making sure that your whole team is on top of the world. And I think for Alula, that is exactly what we saw yesterday, and we need to start to see today.
Tommy, an absolute veteran, one of the top earners, actually the top earner whenever it comes to Warzone competitive, and he's been around the ball game, both not only multiplayer but also Warzone. So Tommy, you gotta gas him up whenever you can. Alula, I wish him the best of luck. We're about to watch their final 2 games of the day, but the first 2 for Group C. What an exciting prospect, right? Group C, I hope they're ready to go, because if they're not, they're about to get wiped out, because Group A, they've been looking absolutely stacked. Real quick caveat, let's talk about Team Destroy as we head into the first game, or game number 1 for A and C. Destroy, how well do you think they're going to do?
Fabulous.
Fabulous?
Yeah.
Stellar.
Stellar?
On top of the world right now.
Okay, fair enough. On top of the world. Remember, they started off in first place after game number 1, and they're looking to reclaim that title. We'll see if they'll be able to do so. Those in chat, though, who do you think is going to come out on top from Group A and C as they face off? And also get your votes in via STC at the link down below. We would love to hear who you think is going to be champion by day number 4. It's time to get it started. Group A versus C. Let's head to the STC arena.
Welcome back to the STC Arena, where we have just witnessed BSL and Twisted Minds take the opening 2 maps of the day. Now, Group B have left the stage so that Group C can come on and set everything up. And if you remember, at the top of the show, we introduced Groups A and B individually. So we're going to do the same thing right now for Group C. Milosh, why don't you take us away, my friend?
Thank you very much for that, then, Barney. Let's kick it off. Cloud9. They are Breadman, Joe, and Foreign Jace.
Next up, we've got Team AB Wiz, consisting of Prodigy, Wiz, and Oki.
They are 2020. They are Team Vision, Rocket, Clapper, and Zakar.
Standing on the stage, we've got Team Heretics, Cams, Methodzik, and Darga.
Up next, it is Team Omit, LLM, JTech, and Tenux.
Next up, we've got Team Zixt. We have Crims, Hamud, and Zixt.
More love for our local teams. Coming up, finally, Onyx, Raven, Alex, Mojo, and Nanus.
Our teams are locked, loaded, and ready to go. We are about to potentially see a big shift in this lobby, so keep your eyes peeled. We've got plenty of action left to go throughout the rest of this tournament, and of course today in the group stage. So without further ado, let's head back over to the casters to get map 3 underway.
Thank you, my friends on the stage. We got a brand new group of teams joining us, and you heard their introductions. You know them, you love them. We got some crowd favorites, but I gotta say here in the booth here, Enigma, who's your favorite coming in from Group C? Because I'm gonna be honest, they haven't touched the game in like 2-3 hours at this point. They're coming in a little bit cold. We'll see who can turn it to hot real quick.
Yeah, we talked about icing the kicker at the top of the show, and it really truly is for a lot of these sides. They've had no competitive play over the last few hours, so it's how do you come into this against a set of squads that are waiting and ready to go. And honestly, for me, I think I'm going to go with the crowd. I think one of my favorites coming into this is going to be that Team Zix lineup. It's 2 boys from Saudi Arabia, locals here in Riyadh, and then 1 player coming in from Pakistan, and this side have been looking better every single time. We see them throughout 2024, even picking up a surprise third in regional finals, and surprises is the story of the day.
Yeah, speaking of surprises, that story, yeah, new icons near the top of the leaderboard. I think them and Fnatic are jockeying back and forth at the top. That new icons team, by the way, representing Brazil, all right? So watch out for this brand new org. They are dominating today. Drake, our MVP, had 11 kills by himself in that last map. They're near the top of this leaderboard. They're here to play, and they were the bottom of their pool for Pool B. So they're taking a break, feeling good about themselves. Who's at the bottom of Pool C? Group C? It's Onyx Ravens, okay? So we might see another surprise with the Onyx Ravens team. Now, this is such a fun story. I had a chance to talk to Mojo, captain of this Onyx Ravens team. They actually competed last year for a ton of stages of multi-competition with the World Series of Warzone and other competitions, and they actually got beat out for a spot at Global Finals by this Zix squad. A crazy storyline. They're looking for revenge against some of their friends from right around the corner, maybe a couple minutes away here in Riyadh. So a very fun storyline for both of these two local teams, and I really do believe that surprise is the name of the game today. There are some, frankly, not that many surprises for a couple of teams. I think Fnatic being near the top of the leaderboard, we expected them to do well, of course. But speaking of surprise, Guild not playing anymore and near the bottom of the leaderboard. That's your pick, my friend. What's going on?
I mean, it was my pick for day one. I'm going to remind you, there's not my pick for the overall tournament, and I have to do that because it is an underperformance.
Yeah.
They have really dropped the ball there in their opening games. Have to find a way of picking it back up later on, and in particular, King AJ is a man I've spoken up a lot on this desk over the last 2 days, but just 1 point from 2 games, absolutely unfathomable at the top of the show.
Yeah, man, Group B, I think if you're a team that struggled, this break could be your saving grace, right? They're the only group that doesn't play back-to-back games. We have Group C coming in. They're going to be playing their 2 games here with Group A. Then they're going to be playing Group B. So Group B, the only team that has to take a break. They get 2 games, break in 2 games. That's how this group play round robin works, right? So I think that could be a saving grace for some of these squads near the bottom, and it could be a coolant for some of the teams at the top. So we could see a restabilization of Group B when we come back. But hey, Group B, Pool of Death, didn't expect new icons near on top of that group. So excited to see what happens there. But Group A, talk to me about them. Who are some of the teams you're looking at from Group A to continue their success going into this matchup?
I mean, I think in particular we've got to look at Na'Vi. They pick up 40.4 points in their first 2 games. In particular, Levi and Limax bringing home 31 points between them. Absolutely frying as a duo. Almond has looked really good throughout this as well. And Dongy, Drake, there are more names that are making up the top performers. But yeah, if we're talking best teams currently in A, it's got to be Team Na'Vi leading the way.
I'm looking at Twisted Minds. Here we go. The first map for Group C, our 3rd map of day 1 of our group stages here at the Esports World Cup Call of Duty Warzone. We've had a blast here in the booth, and we're just getting started. So pumped to drop into this map, my friends. And look, you're bottom of the leaderboard, you're bottom of your group. It's a brand new day. None of those points from solos carry over. Take hold of what is yours. Grab your trophy if you can. It is all about the game in front of you. It might only take 1 banger map to take you all the way to the finish line.
And that's one of the things. We look at that scoreboard and it is tight up there. So everything's still to play for. If it's been a slow afternoon thus far, then you have got time. But what there is not much time left for is the drop. The players are coming, ladies and gentlemen. We are here, map 3, Esports World Cup, Call of Duty Warzone. A lot of action underway.
Here we go. All of our players dropping out of the plane. And, well, yes, of course, there's early encounters, and there's a lot of team fights, and they're already grabbing one, marking one. Cloud9 in trouble. Everyone falling. And I believe it's Bread trying to get out of dodge. Actually hit a zip to get out. It was almost a full team wipe. Cloud9 immediately in trouble, and so is Donkey.
Oh, and then where does Breadman decide that he wants to play afterwards? He hits his water tower. Of course he does. He decides to make his way over, play that anchor role, essentially provide all that outlook that we saw him drop yesterday. On board then with the Australians representing Na'Vi. These 3 have been cooked in their first 2 games, and it's again a case of you had those 2 games. This Group C's sets of lineups come in. Can you cook them before they warm up?
This might be the only team, by the way, thus far in the competition near the top of the leaderboard. I think they're top 3, and it's because of placement. They were top 5 back-to-back games in the first 2. Let's see if they can repeat that success. Even with impressive performances leading up to the World Cup, some people looked at Na'Vi as still that dark horse underdog, maybe underhorse. Who knows? This Na'Vi Na'Vi squad is here to play. They're here to slay. Here we go. Omit looking for some early encounters, finding Destroy, another team near the top of the leaderboard, but being punished for it. That's what happens. It's Rebirth, it's Resurgence, and it's the very beginning of this map.
Team Destroy, the second top team currently in Group A, but finding trouble with another new squads coming in. Omit, that's the Puerto Rican side. Tommy picking up Intex. That's better news for Alula. The Des touched on that quite a bit. They've got a lot to do here. This is their last 2 chances through this afternoon. Destroy's back in, however, does have himself a kill, considering the whole prison side safety play here as he starts to try and assess where the rest of the players are around him. Matt is going to find up Stukex, and all the noise here early on. You can see a lot of players concerned, but we haven't lost any teams yet. Teams adjusting and figuring out things on the fly.
It's all about that anchor. And speaking of anchor, falling in the kill feed, Nate Dogg out of here. Team Destroy a little bit in trouble without their anchor. Got to slow their roll. They rely on their kills early, and right now, not able to get a ton as we swap back to AB Wiz. Now, this team, you might see Prodigy's 0 kills, 500 damage, and be like, how many kills do they have? They have a 3 total between this squad, so they've already wiped the equivalent of a full team. And well, we are hyping up Na'Vi as we swap positions. High ground continues to prove successful. Zeppa goes out, and 2 down potentially for this Na'Vi squad if they're not careful. Can't quite clean him up though. Should he self-revive? Maybe? No. See you later. Limax all by himself on low ground. Needs to make a smart play here, or could punish his entire team.
Oh, I love the pinch play that's coming in because Limax is now stuck between a rock and a hard place. So that gunfight goes on for so long, and it ends up being Limax's demise. Levi will be the last player alive. We're back on board with another Al-Ula member. That will be Lennon. Wow. Bullet using the smoke to try and provide some coverage. And honestly, I like this play. Check away, slip underneath. Not a lot of players like to play around here. And Cloud9 looking to reset from earlier errors while the team are applying the pressure.
Yeah, Cloud9 has been in a blender this whole map. Welcome to Resurgence, my friends. You've been waiting in the wings for a while, and first map not going your way, but looking to try to take that red ultimate high. No, they're in trouble. They could get a full team wipe. Cloud9 is your first team eliminated. There was a chance at stabilization, but Ultimate High continues to prove the win condition. See you later, Cloud9. You better have a better map, too. You are just getting started. You are at the bottom of the leaderboard.
If we want to talk about one of the sides that was really performing in the opening games, it was going to be the Syndicate and Intex here, trying to provide cover. Lennon's going to get shut down, trying to push on through and provide support, and that's 2 players completely obliterated from Al-Ula. We're just seeing the kind of work that's coming out there from the SGP Syndicate, setting up those crossfires, providing cover where required. Beautiful stuff from them yet again.
It was just too late for Al-Ula. They're going for third party, and it was like 5-6 seconds too late. I don't know if that was maybe the call or maybe they just wanted that position. You can see Tom's playing anchor way off on that far right-hand side. This is where they drop Bio, right? Yes. All the way to the top of the map. This is where he's going to be hanging out the entire time. And it works to get his teammates back. And maybe he told them to run in and go get her. Maybe Jukius was let off the leash. I don't know. But it did not work for him. Al-Ula's got to change their strategy. Reminder, folks, Group A still playing. They only have 2 more maps today in our group stages. You've got to get some points on the board if you're near the bottom. Speaking of points, Methods on 5.
Yeah, and what a story this is. This is a man who used to compete in Warzone, was always a part of Spain's top trio. Whoever decided to retire, take up an offer to coach the Miami Heretics over in the CDL, but has now bounced back this competition. Teams back up with Cams and Darga, and will be picking up 5 kills nice and early. Back in with Team Destroy there. Nate Dogg will find one. The trio here just looking to push on through Factory, but they will have company from Twisted Minds. Aiden will be top floor Knight, trying to provide some sort of support from the mid-ground. But the one thing is here, you're 2v3, you got to be very cautious about where your anchor is.
Yeah, only 2 kills in total for this trio. So they're going to play it slow here. They know the kills will come. We talked to this team. They said, look, we're going to go for kills. We're going to play for those early aggressive moments when we can. But it's all about the high percentage gunfights. And frankly, Shifty and Biffle love the 2v3s. This team gonna slow their roll. They've got their anchor. Let's get our teammate back, and then we make our push. That's the name of the game as we switch to our Puerto Rican squad. Team Omit, an NA-based org, picked up this Puerto Rican trio. And frankly, these are the underdogs we're looking for. These were the bubbles Shift was talking about. They're right on that middle average during solos. Let's see what they can do here.
No, you're completely right. But again, surprise is the story of the day. New Icon said Group B is the group of death for who? Certainly not us, and certainly not what we expected. And Omit trying to repeat that as we see Tenix here take ultimate high ground. He's going to be able to give out a lot of information. You got to assume that he will try and play anchor from here and let his teammates run loose. But right now, with the circle beginning to close here on 2, a lot of squads are going to be pushed in up from various areas such as living quarters, from the bottom side of factory, and even potentially Tommy from bioweapons as these boys start to get squeezed that little bit tighter.
Yeah, this is not the same Twisted Mind squad that we saw in the last couple maps. This is not the squad flying at every opponent they can get their hands on. There's still plenty of time on this Resurgence timer, but they do not want to give up this position. They don't feel like they're in an advantageous spot to push a fight, but they hear footsteps. They hear somebody down below. It's Destroy trying to make a play by himself. Here comes backup as Destroy tries to play his life, plays it fairly well. Aiden able to grab the knock. Somehow doesn't get shot as he gets stuck coming back through the window. I thought for sure he'd get traded out there, but Nate Dogg just didn't have an angle way off onto this other side. Oh, Aiden, frankly, it feels lucky to me that Aiden doesn't get cut down there.
You know, and this whole factory region starting to build up, by the way. We have Team Zixt in the region, as well as Team Destroy, and then we've also got arriving players from BSL who like to play around the region. We've seen what they can do throughout this tournament. Doggy, going to use the Interrogate here on StuKex, try and find his two teammates. Don't have the information he requires potentially because the player's just landed above and will actually back on off. And I think that's the right play. Your teammate's just been interrogated, you get the hell out of dodge.
And unfortunately, I believe Hamoud was just fully eliminated. Their entire team, I think, out of here as well. So we were hyping them up, we were excited for them, but frustratingly, one of our home teams eliminated. See you later. We'll see you in the next map. Maybe you can turn the luck the other way. Who knows? But Bagel, a team that's won on 0. Living up to his namesake.
Absolutely. Won't like to watch that one back. You can see the question from Puckett earlier on. But one of the things I will say, the two teams out at this point, Cloud9 and Zix, they're both squads coming into this. So clearly just a little bit ice, slow starts. We expect more from both of them. On board with someone who we weren't sure what to expect. And it is going to be Method6, who picks up his 7th, absolutely cooking early on. And we spoke about what these early kills can do for a team. They just can let you play positions late on and put you in the ultimate position to take out a map.
Yeah, the Heretics org here, this Spanish team, one to watch out for. Dream was talking about them early. Here's Method's look here, swinging back for, what is this, a 2-piece? Come on, this is a replay, by the way. Looking back over and over again, racking up kill after kill after kill. Make it 5, make it 6. He's on 7 now, by the way. Method6, a terror on the map here this time around for map number 3.
Absolutely loved to watch that Reign of Terror back, I won't lie. But someone who will be in a very difficult spot right now is going to be BSL, because although they are off towards the factory here, a position that they like, they're going to be pushed in by this next zone, and they've got a lot of players sat up around headquarters that could look out over them, and Team Destroy are not far away.
Yeah, not as much of a kill lead as before, but reminder, Nate Dogg is their anchor, okay? So seeing him on 2, sometimes those anchors are able to pick up several kills, especially from distance. It's kind of the name of the game in Resurgence. But watch out for that timer. It begins to move. The circle, 33 seconds. You'll see the new timer pop, and that's the timer for Resurgence to end, all right? That timer closing the circle will be 60 seconds on the clock when this circle begins to move. Watch out, because if you die right at 61 seconds, see ya. Head back to the lobby.
Team Eisen here just taking control of mid-prison, maybe letting all the rotations happen. Let the dust settle, check out the lay of the land. Honestly, if Rodrigo had re-peeked that window, he would have found BSL directly underneath. And actually, BSL are going to push out on one of the only remaining players of Team Al-Ula, who continue to be in trouble. One of the players actually hits the water tower, but it feels like desperation. They are in a blender, continuing to struggle in this.
Yeah, take a look at that mini-map, the top left-hand corner of your screen. 14, that's BSL. They're trying to find out. Ooh, and they find Linen. Drops. I don't think it's a full team wipe. Not yet. Somebody just barely flies in the nick of time. So incredibly close. Everyone hunting for full team wipes. We are down to 9 teams, by the way. Vision out of here. Crimson Squad out of here. C9 out of here. Twisted Minds out of here, by the way. Fully eliminated on this map. This is getting dicey.
Take a quick look, by the way, at next zone. A lot of teams got to make rotation towards it, but it is a lot of open ground, Goj. And if you've got yourself control center control, like Heretics do, or you've got yourself rooftop prison, you have a lookout over so many teams they're going to be trying to play on through. And Neil Lam is one of the players up here at the top, but as this Puerto Rican side begins to assess where everyone might be coming from, you've got to be wary of Team Eisen below. Will they make a play for the roof? Elo, by the way, was on 9 kills. That is a terrific performance thus far, and we are starting to tick towards the end of our 4th circle.
Resurgence closed. You lose your life, you got to get bought back. No more coming back for free, my friends. Juki's falling in the kill feed from, who is it? Elo, Team Omit on top on high ground. Team Omit on top on kills currently. We're into the final 9 teams. Our multiplayer starts, by the way, at 8. This next one, incredibly crucial for that 1.2x and counting multiplier, depending on how far you can make it. But the zone continuing to shrink. It's about to get real mixy real quick on this next rotation.
It's even more mixy when Liam gets knocked by a mortar, I believe, and then the rest of the team take a whole lot of damage as well. And what's that's going to tell to Prodigy, Wiz, and Oki, come back for this, because there are players where you drop that mortar, they absolutely fly at it. Prodigy sends a C4 in, does get damage, rings out bullets, hip fire, and will clean that up. And Bagel and Co.'s late rotation will be their undoing for Team Abwiz, who continue to look good here. Had a great day in the solos, and even better here in map 3.
Yeah, welcome to group stages, Oki. I like it. This team looking very strong right now, but they gotta take down Ultimate High. Destroy's team fully eliminated. A massive swing underground by Rodrigo, Maddie, Zun. Rodrigo, Maddie, and Zun were talking some trash. They were excited to play. They were excited to prove that they deserve to be here, and apparently that's the case, especially in map number 3. They make a play underground in zone, and they bide their time. They're looking for the multipliers. Top 5 now is the next one you're playing for. Dongi gets caught unaware. Didn't hear the footsteps. It takes trouble. Uh-oh. It's about to be untimely demise for this Dongi squad.
Yeah, the Syndicate, they've done well thus far, but this will be their undoing. Zund here with 9, a ridiculous performance thus far. Gonna back on off as the Bunker Buster comes in. Gas will likely deny aerial, the push through, sorry, the AoE. Intex just trying to hold this door, but he is relatively by himself. But look at that zone pull. I was about to talk about how Na'Vi had a wonderful position in next zone, but as it pulls the entire opposite direction, it's going to send so many teams on the rotation.
And Na'Vi falls. Finally, I believe they're Team 8. You see it, Limax getting fully eliminated. Oki's on 10, by the way. Our top teams going into the final 5 have a crazy amount of eliminations. This will certainly mix up our leaderboard. This is a wild performance from a ton of our squads. 18, 17, 13 kills from these teams. An unreasonable amount of eliminations, and they're being paid for it in kind with the multiplier. Into the final 4, we've got a 1.4x currently, 1.7 is second. You gotta get there, and you gotta cut down some teams in the process. Intex all alone likely will fall here. Who gets the kill? It is the Abwiz team. This is Prodigy. Who's there to hold him on the rotation, though? It's
Prodigy!
Heretics going huge! Top 3 still alive. An opportunity to make history for the Spanish squad.
And Marty will be the only thing that can deny them, but Marty actually finds Cams, and Marty has the overlook onto Methods sick as well. Gets the damage in, only has the pistol to play with. Methods has to push this. Methods is out of here. What a performance there to see things out, and the squad yet again goes. We talk about a team that we never saw this coming from. Absolutely massive, and the amount of kills they were rocking up throughout, that is huge. Must have been pushing up towards 20 by the end.
Welcome to the global stage. Welcome to the Esports World Cup, Team Eisen. Latin America is showing out today. I believe they ended that game with 19 eliminations, and holding Ultimate High is the only reason our Spanish squad was cut down in the process. It was a 2v1, and they cut them down because we had high ground. Latin America showing out. We had our new icons in the first 2 games. Now we've got Team Eisen near the top. What an incredible performance from that squad.
I mean, the underdog stories just continue. I mean, we spoke about this Group C, right? They looked a little bit of the softer groups, should we say, but I don't think we expected Team Eisen to find themselves so handedly here in this matchup. You speak about, you know, how LATAM are putting on a show. I think we expected a lot of that LATAM conversation to come from AG Global. They haven't performed, but new stars rise to the fore in this one. Team Eisen with 19 kills and top spot here in map 3. In case you're not that great at map, that is 38 points, which will put you right into the conversation for top spot.
Yeah, let's be very clear, by the way. New icons near the top of the leaderboard. They were bottom of their pool, right? Group B. In Group A, guess who's bottom of Group A?
No way.
Team Eisen.
No way.
All the way down to the bottom of their Group A from solos. They came to play. They were 9th going into this game after their first 2 maps. A reasonably average performance. And finally, it all clicked and it all paid off with a 2x multiplier. A massive map. 38 points in Rebirth Island is ridiculous. An unbelievable performance. Very, very well done. I still have my sights on that Heretic squad, though. Second place is a 1.7x multiplier, and I think they had upwards of like 20 kills. It was ridiculous slay out from some of our top teams, apparently in game number 3. Enigma, I had a lot of fun on that one, and I love to see surprises.
Honestly, it's been an absolute blast. Just being able to talk about these very storylines. We spoke about Group B was the group of death, right? New icons, they're probably not in that conversation. They said, we are absolutely here to make a statement, pop off. We're then talking about Team Eisen coming into things. And by the way, Team Abwiz, I believe, pick up 22 kills in that map as well. Go absolutely nuclear.
Unreal. I'm excited to hear from our analyst, Taylor Reflections Noble. How's it going over there? Because it's hot in here.
Absolutely incredible, especially after that game, which was just mind-blowing for some of the plays, and you know we're about to break them down. First, let's talk Prodigy, Abwiz, and them going absolutely massive. Talk to me how big that game was for them.
Well, for one, we switched to their POV and we saw, obviously, they were just lighting up the streets. And I believe it was Oki right there that went down at the end in the final zone.
Yeah.
But it was about the committing to the circle, right? We saw Oki kind of trying to split teams. You see him rotating around on the opposite side of the gas and the northern side of the zone. And then, man, Prodigy, he was just slaying out. You guys know he's playing on a 2020 sensitivity. Look how he was going nuts, slaying out everybody. Does get taken down by Methods, but still, for how many kills that they were able to pick up, guys, Seymour, that was insane.
As a coach, by the way, Methods, I mean, unreal play from Methods' sake right there. I couldn't believe to see Heretics step up, but the winners here, Eisen, that's the kind of team that took us all by surprise, because this is one of those teams that, you know, they were even highlighting on the desk that they didn't have a good solos. None of them have a good solo day, but here finding a win in the trios against a hard-hitting set of groups as well. This is a big booster for them.
Yeah, and like it was just mentioned, Goj just said it. They're in the A group. They were in 9th going into this. Now getting that win, that is absolutely going to boost them right up.
Yeah, it's not even like they had an easy path to get to that final circle either. They push underneath Prison, just battling their way through towards all these teams. Yep. They pinch out SGP as well. SGP were stuck between Na'Vi as well as Eisen, and then just continue to force their way into that final circle. At the end, and it was Brody that kind of pointed this one out, they took top Prison just out of nowhere, and everybody's just like, wait a second, Eisen's still alive? And that's such a big moment.
Well, actually, that's exactly what happened, but also committing to the rotation early, because, again, they were one of the first teams to rotate early, and Oki started to lead that as well. I believe Oki ran into them, got taken down. So committing to that rotation and having the setup first.
Pays off.
Yeah, perfect.
Incredible stuff. And Prodigy, again, going back to him, Prodigy was a guy that you mentioned playing on 2020 Sense, and it made sense watching him kind of, you know, just absolutely snap this entire team, popping up when they needed to most, and they were a big discussion at the beginning at the top of show. All these clubs are playing for the club championship trophy, trying to earn points. Well, ABWiz and their crew can absolutely shut that down.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, utilizing the C4 there to get your opponent weak, but I mean, being able to just how quickly maneuver, he was literally slaying everybody. Being able to take down, what that was Bagel right there, just anybody in his path, but how quickly you can move at a 2020 Sense, I mean, that's hard to control, you guys.
Hard to control indeed, but like you said, 9th place is where they started, and now they've gone up, or at least for Eisen and his crew, right, which just absolutely great. Let's actually bring in some casters, 2 of them anyways, and we got iHold Shift and Dantro, who's been watching all the action. I actually came up there and talked to you guys. I know you're pumped up. Shift, come on, talk to me, man. These at least 3 games that we've seen so far, I mean, lights out.
Look, if you want chaos, there's no more chaos than someone dropping in to a win. I mean, let's look. We just got, you guys fight it out. Let's sit up here with a pistol, watch you guys duke it out. It's not bad.
It's not.
Oh, God. It's not bad at all, man. I mean, dude, we were sitting in that green room. You know, we always had a little bit of a delay. So when we got into the matches, though, dude, electric. I'm glad that the games are bringing the hype. It was worth the wait. We are here. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my gosh.
Spicy.
Oh, golly. This is going to be fun, man. And I think the thing is, there's no more expectations.
Yeah.
This is just, let's get Mixie, thrive in the chaos, jump right onto the trenches, which it looks like we're about ready to go here for map number 4 already. So already ready to hit this one on the ground running. I mean, just other reactions, you know, towards what we got in our first 3 games from you.
Well, I think the one big thing that I wanted to know, in that kind of first sort of group we saw between A and B, map number 1, we only saw 1 or 2 teams go out before Resurgence closed. Map number 2, all 14 teams alive as that Resurgence ends. However, when we move into this new group set, I think by the time Resurgence closed, we have literally half of the lobby deleted and gone. All right? More aggression is here. I got to assume this game number 2 of this group series going to be similar.
Yeah, really pumped to see what we get in terms of, are they going to be more contested over the top of some of these landing zones, because flat out, we saw Alamula really get costed in their first set of games because of that. So far, looks like everyone's taking some of their designated areas. Breadman, of course, trying to play for top water tower, and he will be hit by Dongi early. So an opportunity to try to get things going here between this Cloud9 squad, which had a really poor start to their first game.
Yeah, I know that they are disappointed with that first kind of, drop that they had, and coming in here into drop number 2, they want to make some waves, because remember, it's only going to get harder from here. We're bringing that Hell Group, Group B, back into the mix in that next map. This is your time to really rack up the points if you are a squad like Cloud9. But back on over at Control, this is a matchup I love that we see. It is Zizix and, of course, Na'Vi. I had a chance to interview Zeppa, actually, and he was pumped about this contest. He was ready for it. He said, bring it.
Well, they're getting it brought to him at the moment. Hamoud right down it with the pistol, a couple of shots for the tags, but for the most part, this is a difficult battle. As, yeah, this is now just down to essentially what can Hamoud do to stay alive. Crim's knocked and taken down, and this is just a staggered that Na'Vi is more than happy to say thank you very much for the kills.
Yeah, and the one thing you really want to try and avoid here, if you're either one of these teams, is getting into this cycle, right, where you get taken out, you kind of are, one of your teammates is alive, maybe 2 of them, but the second one doesn't have full loadout. You're trying to be able to fly back on in, and it's just kind of a cycling of kills between the 2 teams until eventually somebody's going to win this POI. They're going to come out with a lot of elimination. So while you may want to ego chow, you may want to own Control, sometimes it's okay. Just back away. Give it up.
Exactly the case. You don't want to, the thing about it is you just don't want to be in a position to where you're exiting with no kills, no placement. It just really feels like a lost game where not even an outlier factor can come into play. That's just really going to punish. So, yeah, still seeing him in the kill feed. Zeppa, Linex continuing to farm onto Hamoud and the rest of the boys as we head on in towards what we can see from SGP. Intex has had a great day so far. Dongi as well, one of our top overall kill leaders. And now we get to finally see Believe get a little bit more involved, but does get taken down. Juki's team right around the corner.
Yeah, it looked like that was a really solid opening sort of down from Intex and Co, but they are going to answer back. This isn't going to be just a very, very clean sort of team engagement. You can see there's only one player left over there in that chemical area of the map, as it does become a 3v1. Back on over to Twisted Minds, though. This is a team that has been making waves all day long, sitting here in this bottom prison area, all 3 playing together, looking to make some waves around the map. And back over at Control, guess who's still fighting? Na'Vi and Team Zix. And I think maybe, just maybe, finally Na'Vi have won the battle.
It feels that way, and I think at the other side of this conversation is not just has Na'Vi won, but there's also the element of Zix has been dominated.
Yeah.
Absolutely farmed at the moment as we head on over to Team Destroy, who, well, again, you have to give a lot of credit to Destroy. Having not played yesterday, we heard the interview at the beginning of the day, not feeling well, hasn't really had a chance to really even experience Saudi Arabia to this point, but boy, is he experiencing it here today.
Fantastic game number 1. They've been solid in the rest of these maps, but you have to be able to close it on out if you are them. Twisted Minds kind of gaining control of that bottom prison area. You see Raul, part of Team Destroy, on the roof. They're just waiting for the teammates to come back on in. Alula on the other side. They've sort of sticking to this chemical engineering, taking a little bit of opportunity to decide where do we want to move around the map, where do we want to get to. But as Circle 1 does go ahead and close, we are seeing a lot of action in this map already.
Taking a look just kind of over the top of everything, yeah, it does look like finally Team Zix has given up on that position over towards Control Center, but they can't find anywhere else to land. So it almost feels like a matter of time before they find their way out of the picture. And, well, kind of taking a look, we already have lost 1 full squad to this point. So Na'Vi now in fighting form with loadouts ready to go. A little bit of a different contest starting to come through, as this is Team Vision that's right around the corner from them. Rocket, Clapper able to get involved, and all of a sudden, Na'Vi in a little bit of trouble.
A little bit of ring around the rosy on the boat there, trying to be able to circle like sharks in the water against Na'Vi. Finally able to bring them on down on this dockside. Clapper wants to hit that redeploy, but this is the rough part of those. You get ripped up. He's able to hit the redeploy and is hanging on by a thread. And it looks like finally AB Wiz will be the one to bring them on down. C9 sitting up at that helipad just above chemical engineering. A little bit of a regain situation happening. And, well, Intex, you're flying back on in. You're joining on up with Believe here at the harbor, looking to make a regain.
Yeah, and I think the thing about it is we should not expect to hear much from them for probably quite some time here. Got to get themselves back with proper weapons to take these mid-game engagements. And Tommy also kind of in a similar situation, trying to float in, get to his loadout. He does safely get there. I say that with hesitation because he's down to no plates, very little health, but still able to get himself the proper loadout that he wants as we get on board with Twisted Minds. Not the greatest result from their last overall match, but they look like they're absolutely dominating Prison. It's Team Destroyed that's nearby, but again, it's just one member left.
Yeah, and I love they're kind of just sticking around this prison area. They don't really feel the need to sort of fly around the map, really move. This is a really strong point that if you can gain control of, that you can lock it on down. A lot of teams might try to come on in here to maybe kind of hold on up, but it's going to be hard when you got a team like Twisted Minds. So I love what Z-Smith's doing there. You see him kind of looking up towards that tower saying, I know there's somebody up there. We need to take them off.
And for Twisted Minds, it's been really good in terms of placements. They have had a really difficult time, though, finding the same kill success that the individuals were able to provide yesterday. So that's the big question mark here for these guys, as I'm sure they're sitting here saying, where is everybody? I mean, we've cleared out the entirety of Prison. They've barely seen another squad in any sort of form. So now it's just going to be down to getting over to a buy station, likely getting a UAV and getting themselves active. Over to Aula. In a little bit of a difficult spot trying to rotate over. We talked about Tommy before, trying to get to his loadout. He's able to at least secure it, but the problem is you've got BSL staring right down your throat.
Yeah, really good job there from Liam and Bagel to kind of take that on the high-low. Really classic Battle Royale move, to be honest with you, to bring down Tommy. And you see some shots come on in on that roof, and immediately they're going to jump on down and try and maybe re-engage this. You come on out, you're going to be able to clean up Jukies, and they actually spot Lennon. A couple shots going in deep, not going to be able to connect. But for right now, you have this entire edge of zone. If you are BSL, you kind of are opening up the map for you to be able to rotate in where you would like.
Especially as soon as this circle closes, they're going to get a really good idea in terms of where they need to move after that. And BSL actually, looks over towards Believe in Co for a moment there as we jump on board with Levi and Na'Vi, who are dealing with, again, remnants of more squads that can just drop right on into their laps. We got to remember they did have pretty much a full reset of their own, so right back in, still finding kills. Na'Vi definitely feeling like they're really putting together a high kill number early.
Yeah, I mean, I love they kind of just able to sit here, and they haven't really felt the need to really move around the map. The only thing that worries me, though, you have a lot of squads that are starting to move in from the other side that are starting to encroach them. So if they can manage to kind of hang out here, kind of catch some of these teams on rotation, they will be feeling good because you have a couple teams coming in from docks. They're coming in, of course, from those tents area, maybe up from living quarters trying to wrap on through as we see Clapper tries to hit the zip, but it's going to be Limax with a little bit of a fadeaway to bring him on down.
Yeah, Vision need to hold this for a moment here because on the hunt is Na'Vi, as they have been the entirety of this lobby. I'm sure it's getting sweaty over there in Aussie land. A couple of kills still right underneath them potentially, but again, it feels like they need to take a breath here for a moment. I mean, they're on a really busy side of the circle. They have not had to leave Control Center since their opening drop. But the interesting thing about it, we talked about Team Zizix here. They're still in full three-man form. They've got 14 total kills. I mean, somehow, some way, considering the fact that it looked like Na'Vi was dominating them, they're actually looking pretty solid at the moment.
I mean, hey, your ability to regain is such a crucial factor in this game mode, and especially in this tournament over this week. And I love that we're seeing Zizix here when their back is against the wall. Maybe you're kind of losing this first initial drop, this initial contest. You're proving that you can kind of go to a different area of the map and regain. This is the type of moment they're going to look back on if they make it to the finals, say map 2, map 3, that you have a bad map, that they're going to look back and say, we did it once before, we can do it again.
And how about it? Hamoud is able to find a stray member of the side of Twisted Mind. Smith dealt with. The rest of the team already got rotation into the middle of the circle, so he's going to have to be purchased back as we will get another team wipe here. That's Squad 7, that's Izun's team, that's done and dusted. And I will say, again, we want to talk about surprises. They're currently at the top of our leaderboard now with 60 points, so not the greatest individual day, but wow, they came to play here in day number 2.
It's kind of what you want to see. Back on over to Prison, though. Team Destroy. Last time we kind of saw this, we knew that they were hanging out here on top. We saw them get aggressive early on in the map set. Top of Prison is their playground as they do spot Juki's flying on in. A couple shots will go out. Nothing really there. Just kind of maybe a little bit of warning shot saying, hey, I got this roof. Nobody come up here.
Another moment where BSL is now the next team off the table. So again, one of our squads that had a really good start to their group stage now find themselves down and out very early. Back into the main kill feed, though, as the respawns will close out. C9 will have to find a way to get Foreign Jace back into the mix. While on the same front, I mean, again, you just look over to the kill feed. You still got Team Abwis putting together kills largely off of the solo presence of Oki. He continues to be a consistent force as C9 just trying to hold some ground here as they will have to make a pretty desperate rotation to get up to high ground.
Yeah, I do like the sort of positioning. You see the connect come in from Breadman, but you just have that just even little bit of open area that you have to cross to get back on over here. It's going to be pretty dangerous. Hopefully you have smokes in your back pocket to make it happen. You can see SGP, they've been able to make a little bit of an early rotation on top of them. Tommy lurking a little bit behind. Juki's not too far away either. So I think if those two can kind of team up, start moving around the map together, you could find a couple of kills on your way.
Dude, we're looking at 17 kills from Zizix, and they continue to find eliminations, that time by way of the mortar strike. Na'Vi also up there in the kill total. They're currently on 16 and a chance to possibly win out the interior here at Prison. More players down low. Wouldn't you go figure that these two teams are going to find a way to fight each other again, you'd think. At the moment, though, it is looking at C9, trying to rotate over, and how about it? A little bit of a duality play coming through as all of a sudden you've got SGP in the mix.
Yeah, Na'Vi, you're trying to push on through. You want that space, but you're just going to get denied from SGP, forcing you to think on your feet. You can see Limax kind of has to make this wrap all the way out to rejoin Zeppa here over at the Prison. C9, as the duo, they're kind of getting that little bit of a side room outside showers as well, just trying to hold on top of it. We'll have to wait and see, but look where this zone is starting to pull here, Shift. We are about to see what I like to call the Great Migration.
Well, it might look like the Trail of Tears here in a moment because everyone's coming right down the front side at Prison, and it's going to be an absolute mess. Also, kind of in the mix, you have a full team wipe in the mix. Twisted Minds able to win out in the middle of the new circle. You can see on the minimap pulled up, they have got a prime position locked into one of the only buildings that will be in this new center.
Yeah, I really like this. If you look at this map, basically you have two areas you want to try and hold. You either want to try and hold this high ground to the northwest that's up there, or you want to hold the one building that's there. They're opting to kind of sit on the low ground, because I think if this zone does pull sort of, you know, more northeast, more southwest, you're kind of setting yourself for a better position. Meanwhile, if you want to try and hold that high ground, good luck, because you got about 5 teams around there all looking to do the same.
Yeah, Zizix actually going to find a little bit of a corner building as well, kind of looking at them in the minimap from the perspective of Team Destroy, who is still trying to read more teams rotating right through where they previously were, kind of chasing their own shadows in a certain way. And we look over towards Destroy. He will be knocked, but a chance to keep themselves right in the mix. The plates being reaffirmed. Nate also just kind of trying to fight from the high ground, but yeah, now they know that there are players behind him. Shots coming out from Team Zizix has Destroy completely cornered on this edge of the circle.
Yeah, and I really like, look, Zizix just kind of sitting over there, top of that factory building. You have this height, you can look down on in, but it's gonna be a mortar from Oki, dealing some insane damage. PDS on the outside, Raul with the shock stick, follows it up with the thermite. Okay, buddy.
And he's still healthy enough. Destroy's going to get purchased back in, so they're right back into this. It looked really desperate for a moment there. They're pinched between 3 different squads, but now look at where the rotation's going to come through. You've got Twisted Minds from the edge of the circle now playing up to the north. Smokes are through. You've even got, on top of that, Hamoud squad has taken the trolley to get back up to high ground. It's just absolute chaos here as we rotate back closer to Prison.
This is one of those pulls that you hate to see, but if you can play it correctly, you will absolutely reap. And well, look who's sitting here top Prison, full view of everybody trying to come on in. It is Hamoud. 11 kills already in this map. I know that they would love to get a win under their belt, jump up that leaderboard.
Well, I mean, they've got 24 total kills. Even a second place would be unbelievable for them to get not just in the mix, but like you mentioned, maybe into a top 2 position overall on the leaderboard. And Hamoud can still stay up on top of this building for a little while longer. So now you're down to the final 3. Destroy squad out of the mix. You're looking at a full team of Alalua and then 1 player from both Exist as well as Twisted Minds left remaining. It looks like Tommy London and Juki should pull this off, but I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch.
We've seen crazier endings today, my friend. Who knows? We'll have to wait. Now, the real thing is here is that if you are Z-Smith or Hamoud, it is so crucial that you get second instead of third right here. And it actually is going to be Z-Smith that goes down in third. Hamoud, top Prison, will lay down the PDS. Maybe look to try and make something happen, but good luck. You're outside in the gas. You can only stay out here for so long. Gas mask has been depleted. You can see some of that damage coming on in. Not really enough cash to hit that mobile buy that's right near him. I don't know. This might just be a moment where you're just waiting, maybe get taken out by the gas and deny Alula that one extra little bit of point.
That's the right call, my friend. That's exactly it. Do not allow them to get that extra kill. That is an unbelievable game from Team Zizix, but the wild thing is it's going to feel like an empty win in certain regards from Tommy and co. They finish on 7 total. Oh, that's not their team. 13 total kills, I believe. So, again, not bad, but the teams that finished below them, second, third, fourth, all had more overall kills than they did.
That's kind of really the beauty of Resurgence. You can see how excited Hamoud and Zizix and Crims are right now. They are pumped. They are amped. When we looked at Tommy, Jukies, and Lennon, they were like, all right, pumped. Yeah, let's go. Let's get into the next one. But that squad is excited, and you can see Tommy maybe chatting with the boys a little bit, feeling good. What I like about that win, though, if you are Alula, though, it seems like they've kind of struggled a little bit off their drop spots, getting into that mid-game. It seems like we saw them getting some action early, but they're able to regain, they're able to play out the rest of that game and make it to be that last sort of final three alive. Being able to make it to that end game, being a full three-man team, speaks a lot.
And on top of that, just looking back, they finished 13th in the last game with 0 kills, apparently, is what we're reading here. So that's a huge game just to get them into the conversation.
I love that you call that out. That's exactly the type of thing you need. And this is a team that is going to sort of thrive off of momentum, right? They are very momentum heavy. We've seen it with Jukies and Levin. We know that Tom is the same way, right? Sometimes it's easy to get down on yourself, but when Tommy's fired up, you got the best comms in the game on your team. You know he's going to be telling the boys, hey, we got this. We just need to kind of keep frying and keep maneuvering on out. So hopefully they can do that tomorrow, though, because I believe they are done for today.
They are, and I was just about to say, that's a great way to end your day. We kind of saw it from Tommy at the end of the solos yesterday. He had the 1v1 versus Breadman in one of the final 2 drops, and then here, the ability to kind of come with your full squad, take 2 different 3v1s. Now, granted, obviously they don't get to have a chance to take the last one. This final blow is going to feel very anticlimactic. It's more like the final breath at this point for Hamoud, but regardless of it, I think you're absolutely right. That's one of those you look back on for Alula and say, okay, we're in our groove. We have the right calls. We can trust that going into tomorrow.
Yeah, this is going to be a game that you basically go and VOD review tonight. You're going to go with the boys. You're going to look at it and say, hey, we had some games we didn't do too well. We had one game we did really, really well. We need to at least be halfway point between that, but like, let's take the best, let's fix the worst, so that way hopefully when you come in tomorrow, you're feeling like a whole brand new team.
Can we early call that is the regain of the tournament, though, from Zizix getting farmed by Na'Vi to finishing with top kills in the lobby in second?
It's up there. It's at least tied.
I would say it's #1 for right now. I mean, unless you want to make an argument for the I fell in with a pistol and I won the lobby.
I mean, hey, making a play through the gas, getting a buyback, winning a game, that might be up there, man.
Whoa, fun stuff so far as we finish out our second heat worth of games. 1 more heat to go with 2 more drops as we head back to Taylor and the rest of the desk.
All right, thank you, Shiv. Dandro, what a game that was. And finally, a good showing coming out from Team 6, one of their best performances. And the good news is they've got 2 more games to go since they are Group C. Game 1, we won't really talk about it. Game 2, though, we will talk about it without question. But Alula waking up for the first time, their 4th game of the day. That was their final until we see them tomorrow. Finally, they get something done.
It's about time. I mean, Alula had this ecstatic day #1. We were all counting on them to keep that momentum into day 2, and exiting now the day, it was kind of a little bit of a shaky one. They kept on finding themselves fighting from the back foot time and time again, just constantly just trying to revive their teammates, just make it into place. But in that last game, we were all surprised watching them early on that, you know, Jukies, Tommy, and Lennon, they were all making it in towards the final circle. They just keep on playing against that adversity, and I think that's what makes this Alula team quite special. What we were looking forward to them is that no matter how much they get pushed back, we can always count on them to show up.
Well, let's talk about Team 6, because 6 was going off and going so well. Hamoud, too. I want to say one of the top slayers out there. These guys really made an impact in Game 2. We talk about them, 2 of them, right? Zix as well as Hamoud, being Saudi locals, representing Saudi Arabia, representing the Falcons in the World Series of Warzone. Of course, not here, though, when it comes to the World Cup. But regardless, though, they are looking like a powerhouse team at this point, and I know they got to be happy. The snipes were on point. This is what I liked about this positioning. They were on top of, headquarters. They were pinning down teams, but then they made the rotation to factory.
Yeah, I mean, and smart plays all around. I mean, getting those snipes too, those picks, that was so crazy, wiping out methods there too, which obviously they were dominating the last game around control, but that rotation was actually really chaotic, right? Let's talk about that towards the end, because one of the teams that we saw in that early rotation, Brody, was Twisted Minds, right? They were set up on the other side of factory, not a lot going on. They were just chilling, right? And then all that action over by Prison.
Yeah, it's funny how everything can come tumbling down from early rotation, right? Twisted Minds, they made that early rotation, as you said, over towards that side of the map, which, to be fair, I think they were gravitated towards that area for a really long time. But again, they were chilling for like a long time, just waiting for something to come their way. The minute it does, it kind of all falls apart. I will say, shout out to Smith, though, towards the end of the game. I think Dandro called it perfectly. The difference between second and third can be massive in these games. He tried to hang on for as long as he possibly could. Unfortunately, just could not get it done. But I will say, Twisted Minds have had a hell of a consistent day. They have consistently been top fragging, consistently in top placing.
Yeah, I mean, come on, as we look at the highlights, you can even see, I'm sure, Twisted Minds tearing it up throughout those initial games. They've already played their 4. They'll come back tomorrow. But make no mistake, Twisted Minds are insane. This was the start of the game. Zix was getting warmed up. That game 1, at least for them today, game 3 that we've seen anyways, wasn't that good. But Crims, too, started joining into the mix. They're filling themselves over at Tense, and they continue to go and go and go. Some other key stars, though, Twisted Minds, as we said, Alula, but who else started to step it up?
Izund, right? Rodrigo and them, like, they were absolutely slaying it. I mean, we were looking at their eliminations, and I mean, yes, coming in contact with some of these players you see, it was just chaos through and through. But another player, too, that surprises us was Oki.
Yeah, Oki's been playing out of his mind all day, just straight up. You know, had a solid game. I think it was, what, 10, 11 kills last game?
Something like that.
You know, and
Crazy.
this game, it wasn't just him, it was the entire roster turning up to play. Oki has been on fire. And again, bringing it back to that overarching storyline, the fact that Oki is doing this, what, post-surgery, right? I mean, it's the idea, right? Appendix is out, and he's right back in. He is playing out of his mind right now. He's got to be one of those candidates, I think, for a weekend MVP that we got to be talking about.
And how crazy was it that Prodigy right there just took down C9?
Altogether, I mean, C9 have just been not having a good go at this group so far. Entering in, Brody, you had the highlights onto this Cloud9 team, and they just haven't been able to piece it together. 0 points in the first game. They, get a couple in the second game, but starting to trickle down the ladder like we saw Alula back in their first set of games.
Yeah, this was when we started to look at Alula. Serious contenders to take that game. They ended up finishing it off. I was rooting for Team Zix, of course, but you can only do so much. Top Prison, the gas isn't closing. If you had a little bit more money, the conversation gets interesting because there was a mobile buy on Top Prison. Does he get his teammate back? Maybe so. What's the impact of that? I don't know. To be honest with you, Alula already had all 3 up, so they probably still win that, but a good effort nonetheless. Second place, they'll take that. And Alula, well, at least looks stronger now going into day 2 for their group play,
no doubt,
as opposed to how they started the day. So good news for Juki's fans out there, Tommy fans, of course, and Lennon.
Yeah, and it should be worth saying as well, to be fair, even though they end the day strong, I do wonder how much of an effect those early games are going to have on their final standings. Because remember, only so many teams are going to make it to the final day. So do those first 3 games damage them in any way? Sure, you can bounce back on the second day. You can have a phenomenal second day. That's what that second day is for, those adjustments. But still, worth saying, those first few games, not great.
But it's about, like, kind of what I brought up earlier. You don't want to be the team to play catch-up at all. During a tournament like this, with the amount of that's on the line right now, you don't want to be in that position heading into day number 3 where you're playing catch-up because of everything that you did back on day number 2. And unfortunately, even though they come out with that win, Alula, I think they're putting themselves in that position.
Well, I'm about to pass it back to you because this one's going to feel special. It's time to crown our Sony MVP. Let's find out who it was. And as we take a look, it's Dongy from SGP, Seymour.
I'm telling you, Dongwick, this guy is a demon. They're going into that 4th game at the top as a total team. SGP, they had 41 kills heading into this game. Dongy himself with 18, just leading the charge throughout this entire day 2 of trios. And
I love that.
I feel like there's nobody really that Dongy's worried about playing. He says that he's just ready to kind of tear it up. As soon as he gets that gun in his hand, he's ready to fight anybody that comes in his sights. And he's proving that right now, that no matter what happens, inside of the World Series of Warzone, no matter what happens in any other tournament, this is his tournament that he wants to win alongside Intex and Believe. He may not have been the first choice for them, but right now he's looking like the best choice.
Absolutely the best choice. And like we said, the Sony MVP, good on him for being able to do that. It's got to feel good, right? We crown one at least once a day, and well, he's going to be the second one we've crowned so far. Incredible stuff from Group A. Big wins, though, from Group A. What's the biggest win you would think?
From what?
Group A. Because now
Minds.
Twisted Minds, I think
Twisted
so.
Minds.
Yeah, I gotta agree.
Yeah, Twisted Minds, absolutely, Tor.
You gotta talk about BSL.
Absolutely incredible, man. And you shouted them out. So look, I'll tell you what, Seymour, you're up here, man, and one of the first times you're covering Warzone in a long time, and I tell you what, big-brained over there, brother.
I mean, like, I voted Twisted Minds. They're my team that I'm looking at to win this whole thing. I had my mind on the prize, and so did they. I think that it's incredible to see the way that they play.
All right, well, let's head over to the SDC Arena for one of our interviews with one of our great players.
Welcome back, everybody, to the SDC Arena, and I'm here with our victors from game number 1, Team Island, representing LATAM. First of all, congratulations on the win. We're going to go down our questions down the line here with Claudia, our translator, on the interview. First of all, Matty, congratulations on the win. I want to ask you, walk me through that 1v1. You came in map 1, great position on the rooftop. How was that for you? What was the setup in your mind?
Bueno, primero de todo, enhorabuena por haber ganado y me gustaría que nos contaras un poquito sobre aquella batalla 1 contra 1 en el tejado, que fue muy buen posicionamiento.
Básicamente, Aison me revivió en la tienda, vi que podía caer en el techo, tenía zona, sabía que los demás iban a estar weak porque pues estaban peleando, simplemente caí y nada, los vivié y dije, GG's, ganamos, easy.
Yeah, so basically Aison informed me that that was a good place to land. So then I saw that the opponent was in a weak position, and I definitely took the chance to then beat him there.
Definitely. So the gas was the last finisher there to win it out for you and the squad. Going the line, Rodrigo, again, congratulations. Now, it seems like you and the entire team were moving together as one unit throughout the game. Was that your game plan the whole time?
Parece que estabais todos con un equipo bastante junto todo el tiempo. Me gustaría saber si ese era el plan de juego desde el principio.
Sí, la verdad que más que nada la persona que nosotros generalmente seguimos es a Mati, pero nosotros quedamos como ese es un mapa un poco más corto, un poco más pequeño, que cualquiera que tenga una idea vayamos con él y tenemos que confiar en nuestros compañeros siempre.
We were mostly following Mati, but we were always as a very, very close team at all times.
All right, very good. And finally, down the line, Izund, you are proclaimed as the best player in Colombia. How does it feel to represent your nation here at the Esports World Cup?
Izund, te consideras el mejor jugador de Colombia. ¿Cómo se siente estar aquí representando a tu país?
Bueno, la verdad es un orgullo muy grande poder representar a mi país, y no solo pues, mi país, sino en general a toda Latinoamérica, y demostrar que en Latinoamérica también hay nivel y podemos competir en igualdad de condiciones a un alto nivel.
I am very proud to be representing Colombia and the whole region in general, and for us to prove that we can actually compete at this very, very high level.
Thank you very much, Claudia, for the translations. Thank you, all of you, again. Congratulations on the win. And let's recap real quick for our Arabic viewers out there. بس لنذكركم معنا تيم إيزون الرابحين بأول خرطة هون بوارزون، واللي صار انتقلنا من لاعب للتاني. بلشنا بماتي اللي فسرنا كيف بال1 في 1 باخر ماب 1 قدر انه يربحها، كان ببوزيشن منيحه ورفقاته عطوه الكول، نزل اخذ الكل وربح الفريق. وصلنا بعدين على رودريجو، سالناه انه انتم بالماب عم تتحركوا كلياتكم كفريق.
All right, that was actually really cool. That was an
I love
interview in
that.
3 languages, by the way. That's special because it is the World Cup and we're covering all angles. Love the SDC Arena interviews and the energy at the SDC Arena in general. Eisen win game number 3. They start off strong, but their plays at the end were special.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's one of the smartest plays, probably if not the smartest play I've actually seen of the entire day so far.
Wow.
Right at the end of that game number 3, unfortunately I actually didn't get a chance to talk about it after the game, but I had an eagle eye on the map and I could just see one of those players floating in while the other fight between the other 2 teams was going down. That was actually Maddie. So just before that final circle on the final zone, right, those guys, Team Eisen, they went in towards prison all the way through tunnel, but unfortunately they all go down. Eisen, the namesake for the roster, plays his life for long enough that he can get Matty back in. Matty floats, waits for the gunfights to go down, gets himself onto the top prison, and then takes those final kills. Just an incredibly smart play.
Yeah, and it's crazy because me and Brody were kind of going back and forth on this, and I was like, no, Oki was trying to
Yeah,
find
I
them. I'm
remember.
pretty
There
sure
was a heated
no one
debate.
was floating, but no, Izund, King Mati, Rodrigo, they had such a good game that game, and yeah, that was such a good shout because the floaties, like, I don't even think we talked about that, how floating is important.
It's a real thing, and it's been a real thing when it comes to Resurgence. In this case, it ended up winning the game. So shout out to the floaters out there. Sometimes not doing anything at that moment is the best play. Let's take a look at our standings and see who's leading the charge, because I'm personally curious. And at the top is Team Eisen, 69.4 Na'Vi just below them, and then SGP. 3 teams that have had a heavy narrative today.
Yeah, and Twisted Mind's kind of falling behind there. Number 5, 54.4 points. Like we said, still shouldn't impact them for day number 2, but it's something to keep in mind. On top of that, Alula jumping up to number 8 out of the overall rankings there. They finished with 49 points. That could be a saving grace heading into day 3 as well. Lots of big changes towards the end for some teams who needed it, but lots of consistency that we saw out of Group A. I think if there's anything that surprised me today, is that Group A showed up.
Group A did, in fact, show up, and Group C showed up as well with Team Zix. We've seen some great performances in Group B as a whole. I think today, all teams have kind of been performing well, and it's happy to see Destroy in 4th place. Remember, he started off Game 1 in 1st place because of the eliminations. He still is a little bit sick, but now he's back and in 4th place. That's a big performance.
Absolutely a big performance. And I mean, credits to, obviously, I mean, we saw Raul, right? Raul, one of my favorite characters.
Too.
Yeah. He literally had so many clutch plays, dude.
Yeah.
That insane buyback. What was that? I believe that last map there. That was insane. So the clutch factor, those guys have it. And I mean, man, when you got your little brother and that energy winning that game yesterday, yeah, that momentum is carrying.
Momentum indeed. 4th place. But I believe their games are done, if I'm not mistaken. So there is a chance for some shifting up at the top, right, when it comes to Group C, who still have 2 more. Group B, obviously, still with 2 more games themselves. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited to see how it's going to end up ending. And if Team 6, a team that I've been promoting for quite some time now, if they will continue that dominant run as they just had, because that game right there showed me they've got a lot of gas left in the tank. But as we do go into break, I ask you in the chat, what teams do you want to see go big from Group B and Group C? Our final 2 games of the day. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will conclude day number 2 group play.
لحظات البداية عاشت معنا. كنا نحسبها وقت للتسلية بس. نحسبها بس ذكريات.
عبود أعطي أختك اليد يا ولد.
ابتكرنا فيها ابتكارات، وإذا بغينا قلبناها خرافات. كنا نحسبها بس لمة وصحبة وسهرات.
انتبه نو ترى نو.
لكن كنا نشوف عالم ما حد يشوفه.
ليت يشغل وقته بشيء يفيده.
الله عليك على الصوت.
عالم كبر وعاش فينا. عالم الحماس فيه يوصلك كل مرة لحلم أصعب، بس ما يصعب عليك. بارد معك وين ما تروح.
And welcome back, everyone, to the Esports World Cup Call of Duty Warzone. This is day 2, and we're coming down to our last 2 maps of the day. Groups B and C about to face off against each other. But before we get into that conversation too deep, let's once again recap Group A, who have finished their 4 games of the day. Alula finally waking up right. Excited to see how they're going to perform tomorrow, carrying that energy from their last game. They ended up taking the win. But let's also talk Twisted Minds. Twisted Minds, a team that, well, played very, very well. And then before we actually start that conversation, why don't we actually go over to the STC Arena and talk to Aiden from Twisted Minds.
What's up, guys? Puggy here on the 4 with the one and only Aiden. Now, Aiden, I gotta say, you are looking clean in this Twisted Minds jersey. Your teammates looking ferocious on the map. You're done for the day. This is day 1 in the books. How are we feeling?
Our games were kind of average. You know, I have high expectations for us. I think we can play a lot better. We had one good game where we won, but honestly, the way I'm looking at it is these group stages are kind of like practice. I mean, I'm definitely confident we're going to get top 14. So as long as we can correct these mistakes by the finals, you know, that's kind of the goal.
So if you're just tuning in, we have 21 teams. Top 14 move on to the finals. That's where the money is being distributed. So let's talk a little bit how you're going to climb this leaderboard. What are the expectations for tomorrow, and what teams do you need to look out for?
Tomorrow we're probably just tonight we'll probably talk about, you know, our mistakes, what we did wrong, see if we can correct any stuff. I think the things that we did wrong were kind of obvious, so I think there'll be some easy corrections. Teams, we're not really worried about anyone. We're just playing our game no matter who we're playing against. So we're just gonna do our thing and just fry tomorrow.
Now, I know you get a lot of time playing against the NA competition. Yeah. What is it like here on the global scale? You're playing against some of the best around the planet. Anyone standing out today or shocking you with their performance?
Not really. I think NA on top.
NA on top. We just saw Hamoud and crew put up some big points. They're trying to catch up. We'll find out if they can. Best of luck, Aiden.
Thanks. I got stuff in my hand. Sorry.
Great guy. Great guy, this Aiden. Love him. Love him. Follow his Twitch. Follow his YouTube. You're going to love him too.
Well, there's Aiden, NA on top. It is the 4th of July after all. We're sorry, Brody, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles, my brother.
Let it happen once. Just once. You said it's Independence Day. It's the 4th of July. You know what? I'll let the Americans have it just this once.
Thank you very much. We'll keep taking it. You don't even have to give it to us, okay? Hey, Aiden, a great player and an even better performance from his entire roster. Twisted Minds tearing it up. A big narrative throughout the day. And again, shout out to you, brother, for calling him out.
You know, maybe it was a big brain play to call them. Maybe my mind is just a little twisted right now and I know exactly who to vote for. But I like that Aiden, after all the success that they found today, is still saying it was an average day for them. I think that says a lot about their mindset coming in towards this tournament. You know, you were mentioning that Z-Smith, he's really hard focused on the IGL role, and right now they're holding themselves to a standard that even they have not met today. So for this Twisted Minds team, they ended the day in a really good placing, 5th overall, but they are shooting for even more than that still.
Yeah, they're shooting for a lot more, and like you said, holding themselves to a higher standard. That's for good reason, because Aiden knows what it takes to be competitive. Tommy knows what it takes to be competitive. You know, other veterans know what it takes, but Aiden for sure, like, he knows, like, I need to be at the top of the food chain. He wants to be there, and he has been there. So for him, right now, he wants a bit more. He knows it's not over with. They still need to make top 14 and then take the championship.
Yeah, I think that a lot of that, where that comes from Aiden, at least, like, it's just like, man, those late game moments, it's like, you know, you can close them. And I think where we saw a lot of consistency from them in those late game moments, like even when you think of Z-Smith and his solos yesterday, right? Like there's so many situations where they could have come out on top of that, like being too overly critical, but also knowing, hey, I can do this better. That's very smart and humble for them to at least recognize that.
And they recognize the fact that they can always get better. And I love that. And you know that as a competitor yourself, and we've seen that throughout the history of esports.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is the point, right? That is the beauty of this format. You're not seeing all of these games played on one day. We are going to see a break tonight. These players, they're going to go back to the hotel rooms. They're going to be like, look, this is where we went drastically wrong in day number 1. We fixed up on those issues, and we're going to be good going into day number 2. To be honest, I really don't think Twisted Minds really need to change all that much.
I think,
Dream, you kind of got it right? We're just saying about kind of the late game plays, closing the games out. We know Twisted Minds were able to do it and get back in game number 2, but beyond that, again, just getting that consistently down, Twisted Minds might be walking away with one of the highest seeds out of this group stage of finals.
They very well could, which would be special for them. I know Juki's, it would be a tremendous thing. FIFA's also watching from home, and I know he's cheering his current teammate, I should say, for World Series of Warzone. Alula, right? They've been a big narrative on the desk here. They are done for the day as they were in Group A. They finish off in 9th place, looking to do better tomorrow. They did, in fact, do better, though, on their 4th game, taking the W. Let's tune in with Barney at the STC Arena with Alula.
Welcome back to the STC Arena. I'm joined by the 3 members of Al Ula. I've got Tommy, Jukis, and Lennon over here. Tommy, I'm going to come to you first because a lot of the people, a lot of the casters, the analysts, they've all been stressing, especially on Resurgence, Rebirth, you know, the importance of the anchor role, right? You're kind of doing that for this team. How has it been? Have you felt like any additional pressure coming into this because of that anchor role being so important?
I wouldn't say I found any additional pressure on it. It's not something I usually do, but it's pretty simple. Any top player can really do it. So I trust any of these guys to do the same role, but it's just one of them ones that you need in Resurgence, because if you want 2 people to fight to pick up the kills, you need to be staying alive, just getting the loot in so you can get their spawn timer down. But it's a vital role in this. It sucks a little bit having to do it, like for anyone, because you all want to be running around killing, but no, it's fine.
If they want anyone to do it, Tommy's the man to do it. It's all right, man. You got this. Lennon, I'm going to come to you next, mate. And I think that, you know, a lot of people have been chatting about how the last LAN event you guys had was London. It was last year. Like this, there's few and far between. How important is it to you guys to ensure that you guys compete against everyone face to face, in person? How different is it?
I think it's more real. You realise that you're here with everyone that's playing that you've been playing against, like, for what, years? 4 years now since Verdansk. So it's more real, but it's pretty much just the same as it usually will be. But yeah.
Now, Jukis, I'm gonna come to you, mate. Let's talk about the end of the game, right? Let's talk about the end of map 4. So I feel like a very important thing that a lot of people are mentioning is patience. Patience has been vital, especially in a map as chaotic as Resurgence, Rebirth. Talk us through the final moments of that map, because you guys showed a lot of it down, because you didn't have high ground, you were in a bit of a sticky situation, but you had numbers.
Yeah, exactly. We had numbers. We done well to link up and actually get control of the building down low, which was in the zone as we went. Again, now what opened it up and we knew we could actually win this was when I noticed I had a goal. Garcia called the play, Tommy gave the go ahead. I went to do it. Someone challenged. Tommy got the knock, allowed me to climb up, get the fall, and then there's another guy there, got that kill, and allowed my teammates to come up, and then that was it. Then we took control. But it's just about, you know, coming up with that play, making sure the team are with it, and then obviously these 2 are good enough players to know that if I do try and make a play, someone's going to try and challenge, and then therefore they can open it up for me and for themselves. So that's exactly what happened, yeah.
And there you go, map 4. Jukis, we actually share something in common. We've got little ones at home. They might not be watching it because it might be past their bedtime. Is there anything you'd like to say to your little one, mate?
God, I don't know. I hope he has sweet dreams, you know, I miss him. I wish I could give him a hug and a cuddle, to be honest, but yeah, he probably doesn't understand me, you know. He only understands hugs and cuddles, so, you know, I wish I could give him some, but I'll see when I get back after I win this mill.
Nice! A bit of tenderness over here on the stage never goes amiss. Same to my little one as well. I miss you loads. Now, for you guys, thank you so much, Al Ula. I really hope you guys play extremely well tomorrow. I'm going to hope to see you in the finals as well. But for now, we're going to go back to the studio to carry on day number 1 of the group stage.
Well, there's Alula talking. Lennon said, hey, it feels a little bit more real, right? We've been playing against these guys. Now we're here in person and things, well, they feel great. And it must feel great, especially after that big win. They're coming into day 2 group play even stronger. And I'm hoping that they will perform like they did in that final game of the day. Group B is about to be introduced. They're coming back in real quick. A discussion though. Obviously Fnatic were looking great. Now they're coming back into the play. Icons also a big impact team looking to make a big impact. Just real quick, Seymour, is that the biggest team, Team Icons?
I mean, you have to talk Vamos, Team Icons right now. They are turning up in Group B. We got to talk about the elephant in the room though. Falcons, they need to turn up eventually. We haven't seen them just yet. They don't have to worry about BSL this time, and they have to worry about Group C this time. So I wonder if they can catch their groove.
I wonder if they can. There it is, B and C, the final 2 maps of the day. That'll make 6 in total. Cloud9 definitely need to improve to a team that I'm going to be looking closely at. Hopefully they can avoid that tent over by Prison. But it seems like we're getting ready to go. Let's head over to the STC Arena and introduce Group B.
Welcome back, everybody, to the STC Arena. And yes, our action continues. But a bit of a recap before we get into more of those meat and potatoes that we said earlier on in the day. Our 4 winners so far in our 4 matches, BSL, Twisted Minds, Izund, and Al-Ola. And so our standings, Barney, they look as so. Our top 3 are Izund, Navi, and SGP Syndicate, but they're all from Group A.
They are indeed. So we need to emphasize the fact that Groups B and C are still back on the stage, and they've got 2 matches left to round out day 1 of the group stage. And I know you might be thinking to yourself at home, but it's only day 1. It doesn't really matter. These points carry over. This could be the difference maker between you getting into the finals and not. So we need to hype up these teams. Our Falcons going to make a late stage surge. Make sure you keep your eyes peeled on the screen. Don't go anywhere. Grab the popcorn because it's going to get spicy. Back to the studio to go into our final maps of the day.
We are about ready to go as well. Desk is ready to go.
Hey, what's up, Desk?
We're also ready to go.
We're also ready to go.
And here, the interesting thing, and I think that the host put it out pretty perfectly here, is that everything at the top of the leaderboard is currently Group A. Yep. We have a lot of heavy hitters that have really shown some surprise for what we had in Group B, now returning to the stage again.
Yeah, we got a couple. One I want to shout out. You got to shout out the Brazilians' new icons. They are going crazy on social media. Hashtag Vamos Icons. They are getting loud. They just want nothing more than to bring recognition to Brazil. And it kind of opens up this conversation, something that you and I were having, right? I know Aiden said, you know, we're on a global stage, no one's really here, but I feel like the one thing I'm witnessing when I'm looking at the standings is we're seeing a lot of these international teams. For lack of a better word, they be shooting.
The LATAM teams, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, you put them on land, you say, my ping is as long as it takes for me to get to you, and all of a sudden, these guys are frying.
Yeah.
And I think the cool thing about it was, even after the solo stage, I don't think our temperature changed much on the Latin American squads. Not really anything in particular that stood out in terms of, whoa, hold on a second. But you put them all together, and the collective force of teams like Izun, and here again with the new icons, is looking mighty fine.
Yeah, I definitely think it's really, really cool that we're seeing maybe some of these teams that a lot of people were not expecting have come on in here and are really showing out. But on the flip side, Shift, we have a couple teams that I think are a little bit scary that they are at the bottom of our board here, and that's what makes me a little bit worried. You can see on our total leaderboard here. Listen, I've been hyping them up on social media all week long, but we got to talk about it. Cloud9 currently sitting in 19th. What has me worried here, Shift, I'm seeing Jace. Well, he's maybe had some donuts that we saw at breakfast today, because currently sitting on 0 kills for the squad. Something's just not clicking today.
Same thing with AG Global. You've got Castillo, same thing, on a goose egg. So there are 2 squads that we kind of looked at as possibly being major threats when we get into the collective group stage, have not been able to provide much, at least as of yet. So that has to change here, because looking at the metrics, you know, overall, the middle bar that Group A set was sitting at about 57.6 total points. That puts you kind of, at the moment, in the top half. But I think the thing about that is Group A really impressed. I mean, they're dealing with that worst in average placing of top 8. So they're getting good placements, they're getting good kills, and at the moment, the bottom half of both Group B and Group C are really lacking behind.
Yeah, and I love that you bring up the average placement too, because I feel like what that kind of tells us a story is like, you're basically, all of the teams are at least getting to that top half. So if you are any of these squads, you are looking to do the same. But let's turn up the heat, folks. Last 2 maps here of the Esports World Cup, day number 2. Looking to get it started. We brought in a new group, some revitalization in the lobby here. Shift, I think it's about time we get loud.
I don't even think it's just a revitalization in the lobby. It's a revitalization in the venue, because the Falcons are back on stage, and you can hear the crowd already trying to inject some extra energy their way. They did fine, let's be honest. Kills are decent across the board. Placement's also not bad at all, but they're looking to improve upon what we consider to be the weakest of the 3 groups in Group C. Just comes down to, will that actually matter? Because, again, we've been surprised all day long.
Well, and look who's already kicking it off. Breadman finding Drake off rip. So we saw Breadman go down pretty early on in that last game before the break. C9 not going to let it happen here again. Already kind of sitting around here towards that side of the map. But over at Chemical, it's looking to already get mixy right off the drop.
Yeah, 3 different squads essentially here. Vitality are split. That's number 1 in red that you're starting to see. But you can already see new icons. Get a good read. Huskers nearby. They find the kill. And all of a sudden, Stevo actually makes his presence known. So an extra elimination on Brolic essentially gifts Chemical straight up already to new icons.
Yeah, and I really like this on the other side of that. AB Wiz, you're kind of holding this regain spot. You are right outside this sort of area of the map. You know that C9 is potentially nearby. You're all together, but you have enough space that you can back up if you need to, and that's exactly what's going to happen. A little bit of respect going down between these two teams. You don't need to push this early on, but as I look towards the kill feed, we are seeing something happen right now between Team Omit and Fnatic.
And Almond has been that guy. Yeah. He was that guy yesterday, really helped Fnatic hold on to a decent seed, and right there, it looks like he just bailed his team out of a really difficult situation as Abwitz trying to follow up. Uzi in hand, just whatever he could find to shoot with, and it works out for at least an initial down. Help is on the way by Thor and Jace, but he cannot get here in time, so the down gets reaffirmed, and Jace also gets knocked from a different squad. Wars in the mix.
A little bit tough there. Wars at range, just kind of jumping on in, like you said. More sniper rifle. Maybe you get a wall bang quickscope coming on out of that. Oki holding this shed, getting some great damage. Prodigy finally will go from an angle, brings them on down. Prodigy the only player with the loadout in hand, probably leading to a lot of success with that opening gunfight.
Keep your eye on Team 7. That is Guild from essentially the high ground, getting a really good evaluation of what's happening below them. And it looks like with the elimination onto another Cloud9 member, they're trying to get full control over through this backside area, and they have actually pushed off Abwiz and Co. So again, that little vying for position early on the coastline starting to come through.
Well, in their classic position, you got Team Falcons down here at the stronghold. Biffle does find a recon drone, and that should give them some solid information on where this other team is kind of sitting around there. So might be able to give them what they need to start making a push, start getting some early eliminations. But on top of Prison, look who's still battling it out. It's Fnatic and Gaming Gladiators, as Noobs will be able to bring down Huskers, but it's a little bit of a trade right now, and we're seeing a disengagement.
Yeah, Brolic falling off right there. Essentially, you have to commit to saying no more action here. Speaking of action, by the way, we really gave a lot of credit to Team Zizix, who had a really tough opening drop last map versus Na'Vi. They were in another difficult pickle again. This time, though, they do get really brought back towards what we expected to see versus Na'Vi. They are already eliminated out, so not a great start for them, kind of following off the success they had from the second place finish in their last drop.
Well, and Heretics, they last time we saw them in the lobby, they were feeling themselves. They were doing pretty solid. So already back over here at control, we're seeing Daga doing a great job, kind of just holding this opening. Whoo! As we come on over, a little bit of a quick scope there on the Clapper, brings him on down. And I love this. You immediately go on up. You try to take the fight on top, but Zakar is there. And then, not today. Slams him on down.
That's a huge save from Zakar. Legitimately, they were in more than dire straits. Clapper still trying to get his feet underneath him. Not going to work out, but again, Zakar right there saying, get off my guy. Method Sick will go back to the respawn, and Cams now has to wait for Daga to come back in off the parachute.
And this is, I don't know what it is about control, but we are just seeing some farming happening. Cam flies on through the hip fire with the Superi is in. He's able to find the full and then take down Zakar. Finally, it looks like maybe the battle for control going to the Heretics.
Yeah, and they need that regain really badly. Daga coming off of the respawn method's the same thing. As we head on over to a different point of view, Shifty in a little bit of trouble here. An awkward 1v1 that he will back off of just for a moment. Find someone else to take shots at, and that's JTech who will drop. Should be confirmed for the kill, no worries, and that will get Shifty a second kill.
And I love if you kind of look at this mini-map in your upper left-hand corner, what you can see here. You can see Shifty is kind of moving around the map by himself as part of that Team Falcon. Soka's kind of coming back on in. Biffle playing it a little bit safe just to ensure that his Soka came back on into the mix. So while sort of Biffle's playing his life, making sure he's staying online, Shifty not afraid to get aggro as he's made his way over towards Factory. Might be able to cause some chaos here for the Onyx Raiders.
Yeah, and that's another team that, again, is sitting kind of at the bottom of Group C. They could desperately use some points here in this drop to once again try to find themselves as part of the conversation, find a little bit more breathing room before we enter into day number 2. Amit also in some trouble here. Tenix is trying to swim to the bottom of the ocean, and he's found a little bit of safety here, at least enough to play, but you can see Rocket saying, you got to come up for air eventually, brother.
Yeah, eventually you have to be able to get up here, but maybe some pistol shots from underneath, maybe can connect, cause something to happen, but Rocket gonna really just commit to saying, no, I'm not giving this up. The amount of time I spend trying to make sure I can bring you down is worth it because it gives them just so much space on the map. But look at this. Tenix, he's bobbing and weaving. The smoke comes out from Rocket. He's got to disengage.
It didn't look like Rocket had any more plates left. So now all of a sudden, Tenix is going to be able to get onto dry land. Has an opportunity to look at a weapon. No way. Oh my goodness, Rocket. You almost got put on Reddit, my guy, but at least able to snap back, take care of 10x, and we'll finish off elimination. But all this has been heard, and here come the Falcons trying to swoop in, but so are Onyx Raven right over the top of this. They're trying to fight over the top side of this backside ship.
If you're the Onyx Ravens, though, you got to have a plan for how you want to take this fight. It's not enough to just start flying on in. Mojo, he's going to land deep. An armor crack from Shifty is there, but that basically just makes their presence known and says you do not need to come on over here. But look at sort of the positioning right now. That's what I love to see. They're sort of gatekeeping a lot. Back on over, sort of to this other side of the map. Guild, they're looking to still get involved in the same area against Team Abwiz.
Yeah, and Abwiz's squad, again, is right up at the top in terms of how they've started things off. Prodigy in some trouble backside staircase. Third might just gonna be a little bit too deep, and Vision will fall. Abwiz able to secure the knock and also the elimination. AJ also in trouble at range, and Oki able to melt him. So now it's just down to Wars. He's down to a single bullet, can't get away. Elo's able to find it, and that's the end of Guild.
I just keep looking at this kill feed, and I am seeing Team Omit kind of just every sort of 30 seconds, more and more eliminations on there, and they are wiping some very, very good squads while they are doing it. As we are getting here, we're at the end of circle zone number 2, and we still have 11 teams up. We're missing 3 in this lobby. So players, seems like now, maybe kind of getting back on in, getting a little bit more aggressive, getting a little bit more loose.
And this is where you start to see possibly Falcons step into the conversation a touch. This is where they usually do well right before that respawn timer comes to an end. But Fnatic, you look at their position, they're very comfortable. Now, I will say they will have to rotate out of this spot eventually, but for the moment and until zone number 3 closes, they can just hang on to this entire side of the circle. The next closest team would be number 3 in Falcons, just down to their bottom right.
Yeah, I mean, if they kind of position themselves great, you maybe could take out the Falcons, but, you know, or you can just kind of hang out here, wait for the zone to close on in. You can fly towards top prison, kind of maintain that height throughout the map. We'll have to wait and see. As you can see, the Falcons already over here towards Factory. They're hot on the move, though. They see Castillo in the sky. The shot's coming in. Holger 26 for Biffle as he is able to bring down Castillo. Will get confirmed. That's going to be AG Global, only with 2 players left.
Yeah, that's just, that is so tough. If you look back over what happened with Guild, again, it looked like they were off to a really solid start. I mean, the kills were incredibly well put together. They had 10 in total before being eliminated, but again, no placement multiplier. That's going to feel like a major missed opportunity, maybe just overstepping their bounds just a touch.
Well, you know, even for a team like that, though, even if 10 is your worst, maybe you're okay with that, right?
Yeah, sure.
Like, if that's your bad game, hey, that's better than a lot of teams are putting up over the course of, you know, their entire group stages that is there. So we'll have to wait and see. Obviously not how you want to go out, but maybe a couple little changes there in the plan. You're feeling a lot better. But back over here on Prison, it is a party. And so we got about 4 different teams trying to vie for space.
And at the moment, again, Team Abwiz continue to impress. Prodigy able to deal with Nenu's, at least for the time being. Vitality been quiet to this point. Only a couple of kills, but all 3 of them looking very healthy, looking very primed and ready to take the next set of engagements, which they're going to have a handful nearby because on the rotation in are also new Icons, and Patsuka does get a read, plus the Beamer help from Exian. Gets them into a fighting form to also just kind of hold on to this building. They're on the hunt for Lucanas.
I mean, I love it. Patsuka, he's known as the shooter for this team, but look who's laying in wait. It's Lucanas. You said they were trying to find him. Lucanas, though, he's able to grab one, but unfortunately, Exian not going to let that 2v1 happen here today. Flies on in, able to make that trade. A really sort of kind of nice way to stay alive. Keep your team in it if you are Team Vitality.
Well, Squad 14 will be eliminated, as we saw kind of the kill feed just underneath the minimap. That is the Onyx Raven squad. So another one bites the dust right before we start to get this next circle closing deeper and deeper as we will head over mostly into the industry's location. Shifty, Hisoka finding themselves in the kill feed. They have eliminated out our top team, at least currently in terms of total kills. That was Team Vitality that gets taken down. And so now Falcons look like they're possibly looking to dominate the middle of the map.
Well, and on the other side of the map, still top Prison playing this late side of zone. Fnatic see some of the nades coming out onto Castillo as Almond hops on up. Some shots coming, causes him to have to back on up. But I don't know, if you're Fnatic, I maybe want you to play around Almond just a little bit more. You're up here, but it's very obvious somebody has your number. They know that you're sitting up top here. The rest of AG Global is down below. Almond, he'll kind of take the opportunity, though, to move on out, because you got Skullface also still up here. Some good shots onto Castillo. Can you be able to get the confirm with the Semtex? Does it land? Doesn't look like it. Castillo staying alive.
Lots of damage for Skullface, and at least some high ground superiority reaffirmed here for Fnatic, getting into the next circle. You can see all the amount of teams that are going to be vying for position inside the prison block, though. And Amit, just on the outside, kind of just tucked in a corner. I mean, legitimately, right between about 3 different squads, but they're just playing for position right now, and being the third party here is what they want to try to do.
And I actually really like this spot, right? You can catch a lot of teams that are trying to sort of fly around here, right? That maybe are not expecting somebody or even two of you to just be laying in wait. And even if somebody does slide in, you got that third player up on top who maybe can kind of create a little bit of a sandwich. So, and as the zone kind of moves here on our minimap that you can see, that's a great spot to already be able to set up on.
And there's a lot of space inside the circle. It's just Heretics currently in. Up to their northeast, Falcons will have a pretty easy rotation into the high ground of Industries, and then over to the northwest, Abwa's squad, still fully healthy, can just walk into the new zone. So here on the bottom side, where you see Team Fnatic trying to rotate through, is where all the action's going to come out. You've got AG Global still underneath, plus also a look over, at least at range, to where Abwa's team is starting to rotate in as well.
And I love this. Almond immediately, he kind of takes that first shot, says, I don't need to stay up here. Gonna take Mountaineer, use it to drop on down. Trying to be able to hold the wall here. Don't need to sit out here for too long, but hey, Omit, I said they can maybe find some people on the rotation, and they are. Castillo taken on out. They are looking for more. Everybody slowly but surely trying to march on into zone.
And this Mortar Strike is really punishing towards trying to get Team Abwas fully focused into the zone. Although the timing of this may not work out great here for Fnatic. They knew that there was a rotation in, but the smoke post to Mortar Strike may have deterred them from finding the action that they want. So now they're on just opposite sides of the wall, and you can see the team down low as Heretics still hanging on as the zone starts to get really tight here. We're still full 7 teams up.
That's what has me worried if you are Team EWC. Maybe you push out, you start taking this fight against Fnatic. It doesn't look good, so you say, hey, we're going to fly out the back, but Heretics is going to be laying in wait. You have to make this play really, really smart. Falcons, on the other hand, they're willing to just kind of start making their way on in. They've cut out a lot of this zone. They know where some of these teams are. They can put themselves in some power positions.
Vision in a little bit of trouble. Zakar able to get the plates back up, but Rockets on the other side, so they're going to be playing this one essentially 1v multiple. Here come Falcons around the outside, but a bit does get taken down, stuck in that corner like we saw. They never were able to rotate away. Now you go back over to Falcons as they are still winning this zone. Plus, look at the rotation. They're going to have the ability to hold on to this while this thing starts to move their direction.
This is scary. If you are the Falcons, you are feeling good right now. You're starting to see some of those shots come on in. Prodigy will get taken on out. AB Wiz deleted, but Guzamir is going huge in the kill feed. Heretics, you'll get taken on out. We're into the top 5.
The Vamos can go a multitude of ways with squads that are still alive, although they will drop out. A little bit of team action for both Skullface as well as remaining Falcons members, who now all of a sudden, the Falcons have complete idea of where Fnatic is. It's just right above them, but they can't find shots and damage through the grates of the floorboard, and that's enough for another knock. Just one more to grab, and it's right above Biffle. And I think they're very aware that, yep, we have full control of where this next zone's going to be.
It is just Fnatic scrambling on this water tower. Skullface has managed to find the one piece of cover that you can't wallbang through. Well, that's until it's just your face a little bit through the grate. Biffle trying to make his way left and right around. Maybe they can find it. Shifty will take down Almond as the Falcons are looking to close out this game in this first stage groups.
What a resurgence, no pun intended, back into the map for Team Falcons. The kill tally is high as it's just Clapper left, and he's making this really nasty, I'm not gonna lie. He's going to be able to tally another elimination onto Biffle. Clapper still in good fighting form here. He's got Thermites to deal with. Hold on a second. He can make this a mess.
I like this a lot. Clapper doing whatever he can to stay alive. I don't know. Do you try and 2v1 this, or is he just going to maybe say, all right, I'm staying up here. I'm in gas.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not going to give the Falcons this. When PDS is in, you can see Shifty and Soka. They're looking on up. He actually might be able to win them in a heal-off.
This is doable. Wait. Surely not. No, Shifty's not going to allow him to get away with this.
He's got another PDS, buddy.
Okay.
He's got another one.
Hold on a second. I think Clapper heard the initial, and Biffle's going to get knocked. No way he pulls this off.
2v1. Still staying down below, but they have a PDS as well. Shifty able to do it, but it's going to be Hisoka at the end. Brings them on down. You can see they're excited. The crowd's excited for them. The hometown team come back on it. Soka with the point. Team Falcons, they are alive.
And now it's time to showboat a little bit for the whole crowd. Get a little bit of extra jazz in the arena. Yeah, that's a big one, though. Again, we talked about it, you know, all day yesterday.
Yeah.
Their event to lose. And, well, after the first day, I think we're all sitting here like, whoa, hold on a second, guys. I mean, they still put together a decent seed, but they find themselves in this very difficult Group B. But that feels like the Falcons we came to know.
And I feel like, you know, we kind of heard all of these sort of storylines where they said, you know, we're walking around, everybody's Team Falcons, heck yeah, you know, giving them fist bumps, saying we're really excited to watch you. I know that's a team, the fact that they can win a map, stand up, look at the crowd, and have most of the crowd cheering them on, that's dangerous. You do not want this team to have confidence in a lobby like this.
Well over 20 kills for the full squad. Not all three surviving to see the win screen, but I mean, let's be honest, that's not bad whatsoever, and that's going to absolutely jolt them up the leaderboard. But on the other side of the conversation, Clapper, what is that, another 2 kills he's able to tally up right there at the end, plus a second place, and that's a team vision that desperately needed some points.
Yeah, they definitely needed that on their side, and I love that you bring that up because he's in the 1.7 multiplier. So 2 kills might not seem like a lot, but hey, you get a couple in that 3 or 4 point area. That could be the make or break moment on are you going to be in that top 14, making it to our finals on Saturday.
And you got to keep in mind that we saw Zakar saving lives early, so he tallied a handful of kills, and the same could be said for Rocket there at the end, having those little 1v1s over towards the water that he's able to find a couple extra kills. So yeah, that multiplier will definitely help out Vision getting back into the conversation just a touch. And again, the bar that was set by Group A was, I think, higher than we would have expected. 57 plus points is getting you halfway through that group. So if that gets matched, wow, it would feel really bad to come away with like 50, 54 points and still be at the bottom half of our overall group stage of the first day.
Definitely agree, but wow, what a great game number 1 of this Group B versus C. Team Falcons, they're coming back on the map. They are winning that game. It's feeling great. We kind of heard those Team Falcons chants coming alive yet again right before we come back to us. I love how loud this arena is getting for this squad.
And let's be honest, that's like our first normal game.
In
terms of like our expectations actually kind of coming to life. Of course, there's still lots to go through in terms of where everyone finished off, and I know the desk was definitely in the nitty-gritty trying to track every little thing that happened. So we head back to Reflections and the gang to break everything down here for map number 5.
Yes, the Falcons are flying high for the first time. And like you said, Shift, it's like, oh, things are finally playing how we thought they would play when we first entered the tournament. Good job from the Falcons. But first, before we get even into that conversation, Clapper popping off. Top 4 makes it top 2. This man looked unstoppable.
Yeah, you know what was funny is at that point in the game, right, where you see him kind of just playing his life, playing all silent like while Fnatic and Falcons were going at it, we were like, look, he's just playing for second right now. He's just chilling like a villain. He's just hoping that he can get that multiplier. And then he actually figures, you know what? I actually might have a shot at this one. A couple of PDSs to keep himself in the game. Honestly, if those rebuys do not come through towards the end of the game, if the money is not there for Falcons,
that's right,
there is a world in which Clapper is able to pull this one off. Here's a look at it once again. You know, that high ground for a Clapper. It's such a massive problem for Falcons. They're so concentrated on Fnatic in the final play. They never expect them to be here.
Yeah, once they cleared out the ground, right, Seymour, you look at Clapper, and at this point I'm thinking he's got a real chance here, but he had to go challenge Hisoka.
It's funny, too, because you see that they're all feeding into him, too. It's really typical that Clapper gets 2 extra kills there. Biffle falling into the second one is just adding on to the points of that placement that he's getting for his team, because in all honesty, when they were rotating in, I didn't think they were in the best position. Clapper kind of was the saving grace there. You saw even Rocket was in a bad spot in between all those teams. So Falcons almost forced them into a bad placement, but Clapper coming out the saving grace there. That is a huge moment.
Well, it's so cool because I know we were actually on a sideline talking about Rocket. Where's Team Rocket? Why haven't we talked about Team Rocket? Well, now we just did, and we're going to talk about them again, I'm sure, in the next game. But let's focus our attention to Falcons, and more specifically Shifty to start off. Shifty, last time I checked, was sitting at 8 eliminations. I believe he maybe even got up to 9 potentially. I want to say 14. I don't even know what Hisoka was at. But Shifty makes it happen, and such a great player, an intense player. On the battlefield, you don't want to meet against him.
He's just such a heads-up player, right? And again, this is going back to the play that we were talking about this morning from yesterday in the solo stage. He's just constantly on it, right? Shifty knows exactly where he needs to be at all times. Does he need to be playing with his teammates? Does he need to be making those solo heads-up plays? This is one of those, right? Again, redeploy comes in for Biffle. Just a second later, Shifty knows he needs to pick up that kill. It's exactly what he does. But, I mean, how much more do we need to talk about Shifty at this point? This guy is an absolute beast going back towards global finals last year. If you've even watched a little bit of Warzone over the last year, you guys know what Shifty's capable of.
Well, let's talk about it a little bit more, Seymour, because you actually had a chance to talk to Shifty quite a bit on the bus right back to the hotel yesterday. But on top of that as well, Falcons, they were pretty much non-existent yesterday in solo. A lot of questions were on them, right? And even today, they kind of start off a little bit slower, right? Top eight, now all of a sudden, they're #1.
I've been kind of against the crowd today, and I feel bad. I've been giving them a lot of flack, but I think that it was rightful because they're not meeting the expectations that we were kind of expecting from that Falcons team, but we finally get a little bit of a resurgence for them here in those last moments. They played very controlled in their rotation as well as we're looking through these highlights. And I think for Falcons, the one thing you can always trust, and we saw it last year in the global finals for a couple of these players, Shifty and Biffle in particular, is that you can always expect them to just play consistent no matter what, and they're going to show up eventually, and here they are.
Yeah, here they are. And one thing I want to talk about here in just a second, I wonder if we're going to see it in the highlight package. I really hope we do. And it really just goes to show how smart Falcons are of a team. It was a late rotation right at the end of the game. They third-party a couple of teams. It's the entire reason they're able to get to the position they are, to win the game, to get onto the water tower. It's just such a smart play, and it's emblematic of just how good of a team, how experienced the Falcons roster are. And it has to be here in just a second, right? And I think this is actually it right about here, right? Yeah, Biffle, Shifty, they win all these gunfights. They third-party on towards Team Vision. They remove a couple of players from the play. Just able to get in a position and really shock players like that is huge.
And this is also where we start to see Clapper by himself. You notice Sakar, Rocket were trying to do everything in their power to stay alive, but then Clapper ended up being the last one up. Biffle, though, was giving hell to Skullface, who was trying to stay alive, and then you also had Skullface, who ultimately ended up running into himself into the ground because, well, you can't beat the full force unit of the Falcons. You notice how they were all sticking together this time, too, which is absolutely phenomenal. Love it. Falcons flying high, as they should be. I know the arena's ready to go, so let's get it going. Let's hop into game number 6. Casters, take it away.
No. That one didn't come to you on camera. Dangerous out here doing the caw.
I'm flapping my wings, baby. Fly, Falcons, fly. Oh, I love how they brought it in. They said, you know, we were waiting for them to kind of have their resurgence. Hey, that last map is their chance to take off and soar through their sky.
Yes, sir.
But here's the thing, Shift. Can they keep soaring? That's my question.
The thing about it is that map right there feels like job done for the day.
Yeah.
You know, it may not have been the calmest of opening 2 drops for them, but coming back in for drop number 3 in total for them with a major kill win and a chance to finish off the day on another high note, I'm sure we'll have them feeling real good, even if they don't necessarily put themselves at the top of the leaderboard after day number 1.
Absolutely. Here we go, coming on in. Let's see what we have happening in this map. Where are teams choosing to drop? That's always my question at the start of these games. Do we see any brand new contests? Do we see anybody getting mixy right off drop? Well, look who's now sitting on over here, still at the stronghold. It's the Falcons.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, it's not just Falcons in a pretty comfortable spot. They're going to get a really good look over the course of what possibly is going to be a split rotation here for a mid. There was a couple of shots that were tossed, and a mid is completely staggered across the map. One of the players is actually still in the water right now. J-Tech already dealt with. Fnatic also dealing with another member just over the top of headquarters. And yeah, that is a very poor opening here for a mid, who are going to have to essentially full reset and just allow their last player to sit in the water.
Yeah, I mean, we saw this on a regain. That's fine. I'm totally okay with that. But you're telling me off drop? You're sitting in the water while your team is getting pieced up by Fnatic over there towards prison. Maybe not exactly what I would call the best play.
You know, look, I'm not one to judge, but didn't feel like the best opportunity, dropping essentially 1v3s into teams like Fnatic and Falcons. Questionable, to say the least. And that seems to be the strategy. I mean, we can see the big map. This member for a mid is still in the water. Like, he's just anchoring inside of water, has not gotten any loot, and Elo trying to find kills. This time it's been found by the Heretics.
Heretics doing a little good. They were feeling great at the end of that kind of first map. They set themselves up for success. Not able to really make it, I think, as deep as they would have liked. But for a squad that maybe had some question marks sort of coming into this event, we're seeing some signs of life for them when it comes to this trios area. But back on over towards Chemical, we are starting to see sort of some fights breaking on out as, well, LX is down here, maybe trying to throw a shoulder on this fight. Who is going to be the one to slide on out first? It's LX. The shots are there, and, well, see you later, nerd. That's what I like to say.
The hip fire connects, and you just feel like God's greatest gift to COD. And, ooh, interesting. LX is kind of finding himself receiving a number of other contestants. Drake up top has Lukinas below, who also drops it. It looked like Drake was about to go join him, but now all of a sudden he's got to say, whoa, hold on a second. That's a different squad, and I'm not ready to take that battle yet.
Yeah, I think he was absolutely correct that you were trying to maybe get aggro, join your team to maybe try to turn the tides in your favor. But when you start seeing bullets coming from a completely different angle, well, and you just watch two of your friends go down, you have to stay alive. Looked like that was C9 down there towards the harbor area. They were trying to get a little bit active, maybe some damage on in. But back on over with Bio, we have Team Vitality holding on down. Looks like they're the only team that's kind of existing there. And towards the prison area, well, Fnatic, they've sort of gained control of the center of the map.
They kind of got it for free.
Yeah.
I mean, there was this drop that came through, and it looked like they maybe took an early battle, but largely speaking, they've got this bottom side of prison well and truly in hand. The only other team kind of nearby would be Guild. You see them kind of in the kill feed just a touch. They're continuing to kind of take apart these individuals for a minute who continue just to drop into the action and try to make something happen out of nothing.
Well, while that was going on, something to note, we see one team is remaining or is deleted out of the lobby. It's Gaming Gladiators, already taken out in this game. They really would have loved to have a much better sort of scenario in their back pocket, but when it comes to this game, it's just a little bit tough for them to stay online.
They had a bad drop last game, too.
Yeah.
I want to say they finished outside of any multipliers, maybe 3 kills.
Yeah,
so
it's not great.
Yeah, so they're in trouble, too. And on top of that, not outside the conversation, is Cloud9. You kind of brought them up earlier. They're in a little bit of trouble at the moment. Vitality has rotated down through Onyx Raven, and you can see that Falcons were also kind of on the other side of the map, also picking apart kills. So we're going to have some really early action between some squads who really need some extra points.
Yeah, one thing I do like, though, I mean, Cloud9, you can see on your mini-map there, we have 2 of these players that have made their way over to Chemical, but they still have 1 player all the way back in Harbor. So even if those 2 players go down, you got your anchor still alive, feeling good. Nobody's around you. He'll be able to stay up. But it looks like maybe they kind of made their way over towards Chemical, said, we don't really feel comfortable about this fight. We're going to come back towards Harbor and hang on out there. But Zizix, he's been able to make some moves against Fnatic. You see J-Tech is down, Noobs is down. A little bit of cleanup on Isle headquarters if you are Zizix, but it's not going to be for free.
Hamoud tries to provide some supporting fire, but now as he's the last one up, he has to step away. And it will allow Ullman and co to start to move their way in as he rotate back over towards Daga. Able to deal with 2 different members from Team Vision. So we come off the praises of them finishing in second to immediately getting destroyed.
Oh, and Jodo keeping it alive as well. Some of these teams that we needed to start doing well, they know that this is their last opportunity to put points on the board before tomorrow. Maybe feel a little bit good about how you end the day, and they're starting to turn on up. Joe with a fantastic elimination there. Bread starting his way to make some moves on this ship.
And you can also see in the kill feed, Team Falcons picking up where they left off. A couple of individual kills for all 3 of the members have been tallied. And as Zizix and co, well, now it's just Zizix actually in this area, has to kind of hit the high road. It is Falcons on the run. Hamoud, armor broken, 1 more tag in, but through the smoke, no connections, and Shifty will say that's the line in the sand. No need to go any further to try to get too ego.
I would have loved to see him try and push that, but I think they know that C9 is behind them. Shifty wants to back on up, help Biffle. Some shots coming on through. You can see maybe trying to get some hip fires through the smoke. Get any sort of idea where this player is going to be, but okay, you're not able to stay alive for that long. Jace, we have some question marks coming into this map. He's coming online.
And an opportunity to play off the high ground. Another tag comes through, but Shifty off the self-revive. Able to allow Biffle a little bit of extra breather room, but Jovo knows that both players are weak. He's trying to now save Jace's life. They know Shifty's playing in the corner, but he's been down by Breadman, so Cloud9 will win out this battle, and it leaves just 1 more Falcon left to rotate back towards living quarters. He's got to be careful because Amit are now fully on the map, and that's where Hisoka's headed.
A little bit of an aggressive play there from C9 that causes Falcons to falter. I like it. We're seeing signs of life from this Cloud9. I was a little bit worried when Jace kind of tried to take that 2v1. You let Shifty get the self-revive off, but it's just some great positioning from the teammates of Joe and Breadman that allows them to clean up the Falcons. So if you were the Falcons, you're probably coming into this game feeling really good. Now you're on the regain.
Yeah, a little bit. But everyone should be able to jump on in towards living quarters and get themselves into a little bit more proper fighting form. But again, are nearby, and you can see them dueling it out here in the kill feed. Elo able to track down Hisoka. He was the healthiest and most stable of the 3 Falcons members. So now again, trying to scramble for loot and find some ground to work with on the remaining 2 players.
Yeah, it's a really tough situation you can find yourself in where, yeah, okay, you have 2 players go down. You have your 3rd who's still alive, your anchor that's there. But while your 2 are regaining, coming on in, your anchor goes down. Now, welcome to the blender is what I like to call it, because you are just constantly kind of feeding in and out, and it's really easy to get caught with all three of you being down, and maybe you go out a little bit earlier than you anticipate.
And this is pretty much an exhibit of all that conversation. Biffle has a pistol, just trying to hold on to this rooftop. 10x over the top. Dealt with him without much cause for concern. Shifty also falls. So Hisoka, who's floating in, he's got to rotate to somewhere else where they have no information. So really good regain here for a bit after a very chaotic start from the squad. And we rotate back in towards where Fnatic now find themselves rotating into the mix over towards Factory. They have themselves Zizik's team right in front of them, and the team leader and the team namesake of it has already dropped Skullface. I don't know if that was an intentional mantle or not on the door frame, but he's going to get the plates back off and try to extend this 1v1, and that's all he needs to reset versus Cribs.
Oh, but look, not too far away. You got Hamoud, who will fly on through, make the trade. So even though Skullface does a great little dance to win that gunfight, it is short-lived victory. Hamoud going to put Skullface back on into the Resurgence. As Almond still alive, you can see over here towards this bottom of the factory. Looks like this has now become Team Zig's home. As well, the Falcons, they've been able to fly back on over here towards Harbor, kind of get back to this area of the factory that you know they love to hang on out as Biffle walks on in. Apparently did not see that cluster mine.
The thing about it is, what teams we have here in the form of Cloud9, Zizix, and a couple of stray members from the Falcons, they may be able to third-party this. They're going to get a buyback in, so all three of them will be here. They're not going to have the greatest of loadouts in the world, but as the zone starts to shrink, you're going to get some action here on the backside of Factory, and if those two contacts start to come through for Team Zizix and Cloud9, you have to think Falcons are going to be right on in there trying to third-party it.
And one thing I love about any of these maps is consistency. Because look where Team Abwas is. This is the exact same spot we saw them in that last game. This is an area that they know, they love, they understand how they want to play it, and where they'd like to start working around the map. And if you're them right now, well, you got at least a solid 25% of the map. That's just basically free rotates.
Yeah. Speaking of kind of the same situation here for Vitality, Ninus is making this a little bit more difficult, but he's also got to be pushed from the smoke. That's enough for Patsuka to get kill number 8. He is on a burner. 8 of the, I think, current 12 kills that Team Vitality have, so he continues to impress. He impressed yesterday, and so far he's dealing a lot of damage here for Team Vitality as they will safely rotate over. And actually, I say that, they're going to run right into the Falcons next, and you can see that starting to pop up in the kill feed as Hisoka has found the last remaining member for LX.
Some good shots coming out from Abwiz, though, on some of the members of Fnatic on the roof. Single tap SVA coming in clutch there. Somebody just peeks their head. You know, you love to have a sniper to maybe make that. Well, single tap SVA is going to be the next best thing. You hit those headshots, it's going to start ripping.
The laser beam, my guy.
Absolutely. It's almost a ray gun.
Oh, okay. Could you imagine if you just found random ray guns?
That was in the game for a while. C9 rotating back on up to Grandma's. Redman on 5 already, 2,000 damage. Looking to get Mixie, sees towards the top of the roof. Some great shots coming on in on the noobs. Hopefully that gives them the opportunity to sort of reset. It is. So they've now taken control of Grandma's, this building that's right on the edge of zone.
This is very safe right now for Cloud9, but the issue is you can see where the rest of the circle is starting to pull. Fnatic once again own the high ground on Prison. That has been, again, to your word, consistent for them. They have gotten into Prison off their opening drop pretty much for free, and now you've got dominating control of where this next rotation is going to be, especially as squads like Amit have to rotate in. Same for a couple of the members for the Onyx Ravens, and on top of that, Vitality also in the mix as they actually finish off the previously mentioned Onyx Raven squad.
And Fnatic is doing something that we actually saw Team Destroy do in some of the earlier games, which is you have somebody sit up in this lighthouse, and you have your 2 other players played down below on Prison. What this is going to do is going to let that player in lighthouse kind of hold this control center, headquarters side of the map, so if anybody tries to push on through, you're going to be able to at least make those calls to your teammates. The other 2, you get to kind of watch that other side of Prison. So this control that they've been able to set up for the last couple of zones is going to be really crucial as we see it kind of pull towards that small side of Prison.
Yeah, Mid are in trouble right now. Noobs kind of watching 2 squads at once as you rotate back to the other side of the circle, and a Team Falcons who've been able to keep themselves fully alive for a while, mind you. They got a couple of kills on some of the Onyx Ravens members, so they have full loadouts. Smoke are in. They're fighting from the low ground, but there's enough circles here for them to at least weasel their way in and try to reset while everyone else tries to rotate in as well.
Slowly but surely making your way up these stairs. A couple shots come in. It looks like that's Guild has an idea that they're trying to fly on through, but a couple smokes will give them the cover they need to enter into the showers. Trying to maybe kind of hold out here, but look who's laying in wait. It's Zix. Was maybe hoping he could stay alive a little bit longer, but unfortunately does get sniffed on out. So as they push on through, this becomes their home now, their area. Anybody tries to come on through the showers, they are going to know they're going to be laying in wait as we see Hisoka engage a recon drone.
This is a messy circle. and it's not going to get any cleaner as we continue to go forward. Falcons just holding doorways. I mean, everyone's going to be doing the same thing. Everyone's just going to be holding choke points, holding doorways, and have to essentially hope they get good COD timing. The one team that's really comfortable, though, is the team still on top of Prison. Fnatic are still up there looking at everything from below. They have a full triangular setup topside, and you can see it here on the overview.
And look even where this zone is going to start pulling. It's going to pull a little bit to the edge, almost where that last game ended, just a little bit on the outside of the water tower. So if they can manage to kind of hold this entire rooftop, they're going to have ultimate height as the rest of these teams are going to have to figure out how do they want to try and play through. We are going to see some insane gas plays have to come on through, like from Team Omit, as they're trying to run around. But Falcons, they were a team that had to make that happen, but we see a couple of them going down. It's all on Hisoka.
Vitality down and out. Rotation in for Hisoka. He'll be the first one forward and the only one who can actually stay alive. Now it's just down to can he get to a top 5 position for a little bit more boost on the overall multiplier. Looks like he's been seen. Again, Fnatic up top, continuing to scout things out below them. They're going to have the ability to rotate in lane if they want to. Claymore gets set, and Hisoka's going to find damage with it, but cannot survive through the full power of the Heretics. That's enough for the full squad wipe, and now we find ourselves with 6 teams remaining.
I like that the Heretics make that call, that they need to swing that all together, right? It would have been really easy for Hisoka maybe to find 1 or 2, and even if he does get taken on out, you're feeling good about being able to kind of have that Heretics would then be on the back foot. So Heretics fly on out. They grab that little sort of cubby area that we were mentioning earlier from Team Omit to hold it on through. But look at Fnatic. Almond, he's the one who's dropping off the top. He's able to find Wars from Team Guild. Can they be able to maybe clean up the rest of this? No. The revive comes on in as, well, the Heretics down low, they're still finding more.
And they've got good cover, honestly. I mean, you've got 2 different squads on 2 different levels of the remaining portion of Prison that finds itself inside the zone. But like you mentioned, both these teams are going to have to rotate, and it's Heretics who find themselves holding on the ground. Jace dealt with. Guild still battling it out with Fnatic. Allman down low. This is a tough battle from the dramatic high ground, and Heretics are just following the zone. They're playing for placement. It's working out so far, while Guild and Fnatic keep battling it out.
I mean, Fnatic, you had control of the roof, but I don't know what happens. Guild, they're able to make their way on up. They push Fnatic on out. I believe they're able to fully take them on down, as it's basically going to come down to a battle between Guild and Heretics. C9 will be a team that is still alive, taking on out. Finally, Jace goes down. A flurry of kills between these 2 squads. Daka goes huge. Cam's still down below, but AJ from above will be the final player to lock it on in as we cut on over. These boys are happy. This is a squad that everybody's hyped up. You hyped up, and we are excited that we ended map number 6 on a dub for them.
I gotta say that King AJ makes the Giga Brain play, though. Everyone he knows has to be fighting for that low ground position. He must have had the durable gas mask, because he's sitting up top on that zip line the whole time, laying down shots while the rest of his teammates get into the mix. And all of a sudden, AJ's like, I'll sit up here and wait, see what happens. And wouldn't you know it, the last remaining Heretic member that did kind of 1v2, not strong enough to deal with AJ, who's just watching it all happen, secures the win with a very high kill tally. But not only is that good news for players on Guild, that's great news for Heretics, because they're also kind of floating on the bubble. It's a very strong 2nd place finish.
Yeah, that's a reminder to everybody today. You know, we played these 6 games today across our 3 groups. We do the exact same thing tomorrow. So even if maybe you didn't have the best day 1, it's games like this that make you feel good that you can do it as you get ready to move into day number 2.
I think the thing about it is, you know, where is that line going to be drawn in terms of, you know, for a full day of action? How many points do you need to try to find your way through to get into that top 14? Because I think it's going to be a lot tighter than maybe we would have expected. And I think some of that is due to the fact that the teams we didn't expect to play well played really, really well today. So that changes expectations, and it definitely moves the meter in terms of where you think you need to end on total score if you want to make it to that grand finals.
And you can see King AJ there. He's just hyped, dapping up his boy Vision. Wars there, laid back, looking cool. Says, yeah, boys, I've been here before. Okay, this is all good. But look at that beautiful trophy. You got Guild Esports, the winner of that map number 6, coming on up behind it. A great day of games for us. Let's take a look at that last moment there, because you mentioned it. King AJ makes the ultimate wrap.
Yeah, and he's down right now. So he's going to get up and then what? Take the zip to go all the way back up to the high ground? That seems to be maybe the call here, because, yeah, I mean, you see Heretics cleaning things up on Cloud9, who also needed the points, by the way. And then, yeah, AJ's just sitting behind saying, you boys go fight. And maybe there's a call. Maybe AJ,